Venerable come once he hears the music? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
maybe I just
so yeah, just tell him. So I'll make announcements at 9. So when we'll play the music. This week. Yeah, okay. All right. I'll make a general announcement at 9. Good morning, everyone. So welcome to the Buddhist Society of Victoria. So we have a slightly different program this morning, so just a couple of brief announcements. Venerable will be here in a few minutes to deliver his talk. So the program will be a little bit different to what we normally do. We won't run through our normal sort of chanting regime. We will just follow the directions of the Venerable this morning. We will not have a rice pindapata at 11 as we would normally do, but there will be a shared meal amongst all of the participants after the talk is finished. So we'll run through to approximately 11. We'll do our normal announcements at that stage. Just a reminder to everyone that we do have from time to time problems with parking. Please think about where you park to make certain that you parked appropriately and not across someone's drive. We do have people checking just in case. We've got a few people in the hall, we've got quite a few people down the front. If there is a particular problem, as well as an exit at the back, we've also got an exit out through here which will open if there's a problem. There shouldn't be, there hasn't been, but just in case. And that's all the announcements for the moment, other than to repeat, welcome everyone. Let's enjoy the Dhamma talk. Thank you. I might...
Diva
man budun net mani mavalana bavaduk de mera patani tadin dawalana ranvali saya nama dimidana namagena gamini abaya nirendun nidi karana lada parasatu malin deviyan sidu karana puda tum sita nivana nika akusal rahan binda ranvali saya nama dimiyat mudun benda Sakbalata seta salasana kirana vida ranvali saya nama dinnemi bating sada dutu danang nama dina ma polove veti nama dina abaya vavadi arali iure geti.
So be happy, all of you all. Have a peaceful time. Have a happy life. Seems to be you all are very serious about this meditation. I think this is my second visit here. So welcome all of you. I hope I can share some of my something about my journey, and I could share with you all to, that you all also could go on this journey, freeing yourself, getting strength to your mind, and able to face what goes on in real life, with more peace and with more awareness what's going on. So how does this, is it like a question? Yeah, I like something, I don't know how you like to do this.
It's up to you.
It's up to me.
How you would
do it.
Can I just say, because it's slightly out of sequence today, I didn't formally introduce you, nor have I formally welcomed you to the hall. So, we have Venerable Gnanaloka speaking this morning, and so on behalf of the Buddhist Society, please allow me to welcome you to our hall.
Thank you.
And then we are in your hands, how you wish to run the session is
Okay.
to you.
I got to know that without any time wasted, I got to know you normally, like to have the sarana, trisarana, and then the 5 precepts, and so on. Yeah. So I normally don't give it. Only few in my whole monk's life I have given like that. But I recall my teacher's words one time when I stayed with him, and when I asked for the precepts, he told me to go to the Buddha, statue and observe any amount of precepts you want. That's how he said. So anyway, I assume that, that in your mind, you will definitely go to the master and the Dhamma and the Sangha. You see, you have some faith in that, and you can resolve it again. And also determine to observe the 5 precepts. It's not like a ritual too, but it's something that you know that it will protect you, and it will protect your mental peace as well as protect your destiny. So, my life very much as a monk coming like this, very much connected with one monk, because I know that you all are connected with Ajahn Brahm, so there was the center and all that. So I long time got to know that he had a picture of my teacher, and he had a brief encounter with him in Sri Lanka, Vajrarama, I think. So there he found him inspiring, and then I think later he had a picture of him. So this time I happened to visit the place when I was in Perth, and then I did see there's a very famous picture where he goes out for Pindapata every day. So he was one person who really inspired me, and I was his attendant to the end of his life. There's one Venerable Metta Vihari, a Danish monk, and then I got that opportunity because he was very independent. He would not allow anyone to, he did everything. I'll never forget one time when I saw him very frail and coming to the Dana Shala, where the food is being offered. I asked him, Bhante, can I do something? Can I look after? Can I wash your robes or something like that? Then I never forget, he looked at me and said, this body does not belong to me. Why should I give it to anybody else to look after? When he said that, he really meant it. And it came to my mind immediately that I am the one who is worried about the body. And it was I can still remember the simple word that he was unconcerned about his own body, and that we are the ones who are so involved with it. And this gave me a lot of inspiration. And later, of course, once he collapsed, and then I came to, able to attend to him after that. So he was a wandering monk for many years, like 29 years. He was going walking. Only the Vasa period he stayed. His name was Jnana Vimala Mahatero. I don't know whether you know, he's a German. He's not a popular monk. He was known in the forest, the monasteries, that the one walking monk like that. So due to my some karma, because whatever I'm going to give you all today, the main things will be not mine. I have not this knowledge or whatever. It was parted to me by him, and many don't know what is his spiritual path. So they know he was very inspiring, very ascetic, as well as very, until to his end, he had no monastery. He had no pupils. Of course, I was only the attendant of him. He was just there, doing the practice. So close quarters with him. It was very inspiring to see him, how he dealt with old age. And the moment of death, I was not there. I was in the Himalayas. So because for many years I have these 2 practices, going to the Himalayas, that was one part, and then of course being with the Sangha, and later on in the forest in Sri Lanka. So I stayed more forest than him actually, but he used to tell me also, just by simply being in the forest doesn't mean he used to tell even animals stay in the forest. So he has a way of looking at things, not that external way of asceticism or anything. They are tools and means, but there's something else. Even as people, you know, in the lay life, in the society, that you can do it. You can achieve this practice. So before coming to him, before meeting him, my talk is a little bit peculiar. I don't know if you have ever heard from YouTube or anything, because, but I will give you some points, I hope, that you all get some things for your normal life and for your enlightenment. What is enlightenment? And, you know, that's very important. Buddha is not just for, like to have a peaceful life or something. He's about telling the secret of our lives, and then based on that, what we should be doing now to realize it, and also to completely be free from any kind of state of suffering. So my journey that time started. I was very interested to know, actually. I was also curious as a young boy. Because of the environment of my father, he was an engineer, and so because of that, I was thinking those days as a small boy, how to make a vehicle that runs with water, because I thought water is freely available. So if you can make a vehicle that can run with water, then everything will be solved. So later on, there was an exhibition in like 9 and 10 where I named this like a machine where, you know, like you have I took these springs from a clock and thought that this one spring could wind the other one, and that the other one will wind the other one, like that, and I call it the non-stop machine. So really, I didn't know. I now know that I was searching for Nibbana in some way, a non-stop eternal thing. So, but anyway, a big turn took place in the life. I was like 14, 15, where I got hold of this theory of relativity. It was very interesting for me, especially the fact that the time can be dilated. I normally don't tell because I thought maybe this crowd, I should tell this. So where near the speed of light, that time gets dilated or can be stretched. So I think most of you must be familiar. It's like they also give an example of twins. You know, they go in a space. One is sent in a spaceship or a rocket for say 1 year, and then one stays on Earth. So when that spaceship returns after 1 year, this Earth time, he is only 1 year he has spent the time, and then the baby who returned back has maybe few months, to give an example. So later, actually, this theory was proven in Geneva, I think, in an accelerator particle accelerator. I think a meson particle, something like 1/4 of the speed of light, it was accelerated. You know, after a long time, I'm speaking English again. There's a time that, as a young boy, I couldn't speak Sinhalese language. And these Sinhalese people now, recently or some years now, they have, tortured me with Sinhalese. You know, they have wanted me to teach them in Sinhalese and so on. So I had to come back to the English again. Okay, but doesn't matter. I am sure, can you all understand? I don't have the Australian accent. Okay, it's more close to the British one. And I got to know the British one, it looks more learned than this thing, right? For me, this is all sound, right? So anyway, that time, with the physics, the theory of relativity fascinated me a lot. So what happened, I had some teachers also who inspired me in school, in southern Africa, in Lesotho. I don't know whether you know Lesotho. It's a mountain kingdom, and my father was there in the UNDP that time. So there, that was my actually meditation land, I would say. We call it Tapo Bhumi. Tapo means meditation, area, because that's where my real awakening took place. So it had a very desolate or like a very solitary atmosphere. And just similar to here, some places I see in Australia. So I had a habit of going for walks. So even before that, with theory of relativity, I've been connecting with some of, like my mother had some books. So I used to read everything, Bible, this and that, whatever I could get hold of, like 14, 15. I was so thirsty and I was like, searching for, I was restless, I would say. So there, I came across one book where it talks about the heavens, the higher heavens. It's called the Question of Sakka, the King of Gods, where he meets the Buddha. And it's like it talks about it gives a description of those heavens. Like 1,000 years on earth is like one day, and such weeks and like months like that. So it goes on like that. The Buddhist cosmology, you have these different planes of existence. And if you just read like that, it looks like a fairy tale. Okay, so but when I had this this thing about theory of relativity, that time can be stretched, this was really clicking. It just gave me a quick feeling how these planes do exist. It doesn't mean when Einstein, when he realized or when he brought out this theory, that this theory starts to apply. It has been always been there. So with this way, inference, what you call it, through inference, I was very convinced that these planes do exist. So I have been thinking all these things, and I have neglected my studies. It was the IGCSE those days. Then we were the first batch, in that exam no one fails. I don't know whether you still have this, I don't know. The grades go up till A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, or something like this. And you have to choose two papers. One is you don't fail at all. The other one, you don't get a mark. That is the top one. Then you can get A, B, C. Other one, you get a C, the maximum mark. You still have it here, I think. It's the IGCSE. So there, I happened to, this particular, then I didn't study anything at all. So later on, when the exams were closed, some miracle has to happen. So what I did was I used to have the old test papers and the syllabus. And these two, and in the night, like midnight, through relativity, theory of relativity, I built up enough faith that these planes do exist, especially the King of Gods where he is, because I know that through faith, when you believe completely, then it does begin to exist. So, and they are powerful, that I could get something done. So what happened, I slowly focused on that, and then I had the old test papers and the syllabus, and I had made some headlines of essay, English language essay titles and English literature essay titles. And then I had few of them. And then when I felt really connected, I actually kind of guessed this one or this one, like these two essay titles. And then next day I told my father to get two essays written by I didn't tell all this, no one knows what I was doing the night or whatever. So then my father went to my tutor and got two essays written, and my tutor was wondering, why has he not studied everything? Is he just focused on just two essays? So later what happened, I went to the other day after that, I went to the exam hall. And when we got the paper, now everywhere in the world, I think we sit the same time. When I got the paper, I saw these two headings there. It was for me that time, I didn't care about studies too much, I was more concerned about really knowing what's going on. So that made me like I felt like the universe is in my hand. But that didn't give me the thought to become a monk. But based on this, later on, like age of 18, when I was going for one of these walks, also I was very attached to cricket, If I left something to become a monk, it was cricket. So many clubs I used to play. We had an Australian player, I never forget. Actually, he was also fast bowler, and we used to compete for opening in the club. So I was the youngest player that time. There's another story where he saved me in a club. I would not talk about it now. Because this thing will be a little conversational, okay? Because I want to make it a little bit, heart to heart, let's see. So we must really go on this path. Then what happened? Later on, I had this reasoning. Now, it is said that if the speed of light was taken as a constant, okay, in Einstein's theory. So closer to the speed of light only, there was this relativistic effect. And it is said, in physics it's known like, a particle can't go, like the mass increases also. Speed increases. So practically it seems nothing. So I related like this. I assume there's a mind particle. Okay, so if you go faster than the speed of light, what happens? Mathematically, it shows you go back in time. So I thought that going back in time was this phenomenon of memory. Okay, sometimes with friends I used to ask, can you see my hand? And then they say yes. Then I said, can you picture it? Then they used to tell yes. Then I said, now you have gone faster than the speed of light. Okay, so this way in direction of speeds I was thinking about, and then it came to me like intuition, meditation. This was like you're increasing speeds, and where you experience Nibbana is where time stops. Okay, this is how I had this kind of thought I had. And some of my father's friends, one I remember Professor Cabrero, so they came for dinner and all that, and I was more interested in meeting. We had a discussion very much. My father, though he's the one who invited, so he told later when I explained about this thing that don't think about it too much. That's all he told me, because don't think about it. And he encouraged me, it's quite good, but don't think about it too much. And actually based on this, like when I was 18, when I was going for a walk, suddenly I had this thought, what are the causes for any phenomena to happen? And suddenly, like in a mental picture, it was like a flash, like rising, passing away. That whatever, it came to me verbally, whatever that begins in time definitely ends. And that time I have applied to go to, Princeton, because that time my hero was Einstein. So I thought I go and study astrophysics, that some more solution, or I could be able to research on that and get more answers. But after this experience, the whole thing changed. And and in that same time, it came to my mind like a picture of a monk. And that like monk was like, that monks, I must become like that. And the people like monks, they are just covered their like last body, or the body that is also going to just disappear. And that I must, become like that. And should stay in that same similar environment, silent place, and make this perception happen again and again. This is the three things that came to my mind. So later only I realized why monasteries are made, why this jungle forest is there and all that. So that same evening I told my father, I want to become a monk. I didn't tell all this experience. But a change in personality happened after that. I became very quiet and mindful, calm. It was like an entire system of meditation came to the system. Before that, I used to get very angry. Especially 14, 15, I used to get into fits of anger. Sometimes with my father, maybe the puberty period and all that, that change. And there are times I had to just control, I might kill somebody with that fury. So for small little thing, I would get irritated like that. So then after this time, I remember, later I counted the times I not got angry, but you feel like somebody pressed your button, right? But it increases the last few years in India, especially with the taxi drivers. I don't know, maybe they they try to cheat you so much, so it happened. So anyway, then when I came to Sri Lanka, my grandma is the one who said there's this special monk, a German monk who comes, for alms round. I want you to meet him. Then he actually, he came one time and I saw him the aura was he looked so simple and so pure looking. But by that time, I already thought I already know everything. I really thought I know everything because after all this experience. So anyway, that time I didn't want to ask anything. He was on his arms round. And later my grandma took to the temple where you see that in that picture where he comes out for the alms round daily. So I went to the temple with my grandma, and she also asked me, ask anything what you want. And at that time I didn't feel like. But a special meeting happened later. When I was far away, little away from the city, I was going the bike to meet a friend of mine. Suddenly in the road I saw like a giant, one monk is walking, in the hot sun in Sri Lanka, the tropical heat, and bare feet. And he looked like a giant, like somebody, like you look like commandos. Have you seen Tudong monks pictures? You don't look like a doll, you look rugged when you're going the dust and the heat and all that. Now I'm looking also like a doll. That my Tudong is coming by flight. Somebody also asked me, Swaminwa said, Bante, you are in Perth, just flying so much, like now actually I'm going here, there. I said, I'm not flying, I'm in the moment. The flight is flying. Yes, it is true. You don't go with the future thought and past, this you in the seat, in the what is this, the flight, the seat, you meditate there. When you're taking the steps, when you're going, you're in the moment, you keep your mind there. Then you don't feel tired. You'll not feel tired. So I'm going to tell you also that that's very important, how you spend your day without feeling tired. I will talk about that, okay? If you are meditated, and if you really meditate, you'll not feel tired when you're doing the things, when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're attending to your normal work. And that's very important for that to happen. If you think about karma, how to stop karma also and reduce, and also to be prepared for your last moment in this life. I am going to specially touch those points. So when I met my teacher, he introduced me immediately. I went after, when I met him on the road, in fact. When I saw him like a giant, walking, I realized that is the German monk. I recognized him. So I thought, I quickly parked my bike, and it was so hot. So what I liked those days in Sri Lanka, you have a drink called smack. You don't have it here, right? Do you have? No? Okay, smack, right? So I went to him and I prostrated. I said, Bante, can I offer you a smack? You know what he said immediately? He turned to me and said, with a lot of kindness and love, he's, don't know if you have a picture of him anyway. He said, this is not what we expect from you. We expect that you also follow this path. I have not talked with him about all my, past and all that. Anyway, he left, he blessed me. I went and brought a smack anyway and went to him and I asked him, Bante, can I offer? Then okay. Then it was nearly like 11 o'clock that time. So in the road, main road, the side, he put his mat and then he sat down to take his other food with the alms bowl. So I offered this. Remember, I was struggling to open the lid. And then he had a Swiss knife, and then he helped me and then gave it to me and I offered it. So later he listened to me what my experience. And already I had some idea of emptiness and all this is impermanent and all that. So one word he told me that just made me like an ant, made my ego so deflated. And I really thought I was thirsting. I must learn a lot from him. I must go and meet him again. And that's how I started to, then I waited until he came to the city. He took some days or one day, I think, because he's going walking. And then the first meeting, he listened to my experience. He said there could be some karma behind. And he just directed me to read the sutta. One sutta he referred. And those days we didn't have a lot of books, there's only one bookstore. And that's how the journey started, the reading the suttas, the Buddha's original words. I'm going to come to that and how to make it in a meditation object, like same as time of the Buddha, okay? Because today, unfortunately, you don't see that, it has been like we have learned to like knowledge gathering. And sometimes we, because these suttas seem simple, but they open a vision intuitively. This is where is how to bring it out as an intuition, something I'm going to explain, and to how to make it a meditation object. That's how we practice with my teacher. And there's the old practice, the old method is called Pariyapti, Pratipatti, Prativeda. Pariyapti means study of the suttas. It's not that you study and pass an exam and then practice. No. It is how, when you're immediately reading, you learn to apply it. And when you apply it, that application is to the present moment. So there's a level of mindfulness in the present moment, and there's a level of analyzing, thinking that comes in the mind as a separate thing. When these two things mix only, there is this wise attention. So this wise attention is the one key that makes you realize Nibbana. It's called Yoniso Manasikara. It's thinking from the source. And there's another aspect it has to come where you have to refine your brain, refine your mind, especially the frontal cortex. We have the reptilian brain normally. So that's one where the hindrances, we call the pancha hindrances, sensual desire. I don't know how much you are familiar. Sensual desires, sensual distractions, and anger, aversion. And you have irritation and worry, fear. So they are connected with the reptilian brain, okay? We know that if the reptilian brain is too much, especially with sex and food, that's why we have rules to control them, so that we will have this fine frontal cortex working, especially the wisdom eye. In the frontal cortex, we have also the divine eye because of my experience with the yogis in India. That's another part where they can see the karma. They don't see bodies, they see the karmic process. Because karma is actually, body is a result of your karma. And if you are intuitive about the bodies you experience, you can know the karma. Karma is working out using the body. Okay? So this is something I tell people to get some real proof of it, not to just believe it. One is like Edgar Cayce, Many Mansions. How many of you are familiar, Edgar Cayce, Many Mansions? You should read this material. It's to be very interesting. He used to go into an unconscious state, and then he used to diagnose people's, diseases and problems, personal problems. And it goes back to previous lives, before birth. And mainly like Crusaders' time, the Egyptian time, then that Antarctic, Antarctic, there's another civilization, not Antarctic, Atlantic, right? Yeah, that's right, Atlantic. So he refers to those periods they were reborn, born before, and then the actions, deeds they did, what they are experiencing this by. One story I remember, it's a lady from New York. There are many case studies they are called. Actually, he was called the Miracle Man of Virginia. It's very nice because in my search for truth, I don't want to blindly believe. Also, I like to put facts into whatever Buddha also says. But it nicely explains. Even sometimes you have inner feelings like anger, or sometimes you don't physically show it, but internally, and how it manifests in this life. It's very interesting. One story I can remember was a lady who was inclined for spirituality in New York. And she was like, she was facing some personal problem, and she came to Edgar Cayce. And then her way of earning her living was showing her beautiful hand. She was extremely beautiful, especially her hand. It was used for jewelry, to advertisements. So what happened to see, she had this problem, some problem, and so Edgar Cayce went into that unconscious state. And he's a Christian. But in his unconscious state, he used to tell so many, things that he can't also understand. Somebody's there writing, whatever he says. So in that situation, he has told that she's one birth before she has been a nun. I don't know whether it's Buddhist or whatever. She has been a nun. That's why she's so spiritual this life too. And in that nunnery, she has cleaned the toilets and everything using her own hand, not feeling yuck, she, like with so much faith and delight. And that was the karma that she got this beautiful hand. So for all this, there is some reason. It's very interesting. There's so many like that. And it explains very much, even mentally, how we talk about how the karma, what we call karma, what is the result of karma. So these stories are very important. Are you all with me? Yes. Huh? Only 2-3 years I heard. I know you all some are coming with different problems, difficulties, anxieties, and I hope those things will disappear with you, okay? Huh? Anyway, in the end of the program, I'm going to give you all a gift, okay? It's coming from some mental energy, and I hope you all take with me. I think people who have come to the programs, they know. So just bear with me. Give me 1.5 hours, all right? Then all my colleagues will start to come, all right? So anyway, I like really to get a discussion kind of this thing, but I just cover my things, all right, quickly. So that main things I hope I'll not miss out. I hope my English you understand, eh? It's not Australian language. Eh? What is it? Australia, no? It's not. So it is, how can I, in the next lifetime, I will learn Australian accent and come, all right? But anyway, I'm sure it's clear. I told about my teacher, and this, especially the sutas, what he told me to refer. So this specifically I want to tell. So after that, I happened to stay with him, and whenever he meet the monks, he used to give an advice that if you want to attain sotapanna, it means the stream entrant. That is how the Buddhas, like on the path, it is like one of the first glimpses of nirvana. So example is given, like, for example, you have a dark room with a golden vessel, and if a lightning strikes, for that moment you don't see anything. For that little light you see suddenly, oh, there's the vessel here, golden vessel. It's like that, the first glimpse of wisdom. So I normally tell, in that wisdom you have something like like a shock effect. Now, even something you have not experienced before, when you experience like a ghost, for example, don't you get a shock? Same way, you see the reality you have never seen before. Okay? You see the reality in life, especially about impermanence.
Apologies, I just need to interrupt for a moment. We have a car parked which is blocked and an entrance. So if you have BXU 624, could you please go and move your car?
Okay.
Black Toyota Prado, apparently.
Go mindfully, peacefully, and look at your emotions. You can practice now. Okay. So so there's this shock experience, okay? So what if you see a reality, if you see a ghost, even devas. I have another experience of devas in a different way, in a mountain. I will tell you this and definitely come for that also, because I think we have to know there are other planes too. One, it's like a sacred mountain in Sri Lanka. It's called the mountain of the holy footprint, Adam's Peak. Adam's Peak means, they say Adam has left his feet, and every religion worships that mountain. So once we got to know there's a protective deity supposed to be, looking after that. It's called Saman, the one name of the deity. Sri Lankan local people, they know. So once, before becoming a monk, we got to know that such a deity is going to visit at certain time, 12 o'clock or whatever. So we 3 people, off season, raining and all that, we went to this mountain. And we were in that, like the security people, they had so cold there, and so we stayed in that room. And around 12 o'clock, one of my the other friends, they told the time my name Shanaka, can you hear? Then I was just hearing, it's like that footprint is just like few feet away from the room. And I was hearing this. What I was hearing was that some of this you hear in this music. Or when I was coming, they put this recording. It's the old flute. And then this old drumming, like a tom-tom, this drum is there the old way. This music you could hear nicely. And then, when you really hear like that, you're frightened, you don't want to open the door and go. You do your prayers privately. So I remember we did like that. So some things we are not used to, like it will give us a shock. And they also know. So that's why they don't appear too much. I have another now when I'm telling, there's some experiences coming, but anyway, I will come to the main point. The shock experience, when you see the reality, now I want to tell you, because it's not just impermanence. There's a level of impermanence you will get. Okay, and where the sutta Buddha gives you that training how to get that impermanence. Okay, his main, you could call it a technique. So, in this shock experience means like you're holding a string and you suddenly notice it's a snake. How do you just let go? Okay, same way, when you see this reality of life or of your experience, or if you become awakened, there is that shock experience that comes. It's called nibbindati. In the Buddha's Pali term, nibbindati, viracchati, nirodeti, nibbananti. Nibbindati means that it's difficult to translate into English. Like nibbindati means I think how it's translated. Nibbindati, dispassionate. Nibbindati, viracchati means dispassionate. Nirodeti means cessation. And nibbananti. So it's just happening in the mind immediately when you have that experience. So I normally tell, like in the retreats also, it's like somebody says, I tell you there's a snake here, all right? And you don't know, Bhante says there's a snake. And you keep looking and suddenly you see the tail or something. Then you get that shock, okay? Same way, you see the great master through the teachings. If you properly see, means you realize, you understand something. It's not seeing a visual picture of Buddha or something. So there's a way of using the Buddha's teaching. So I had to call this, actually in Sinhalese way for my now present mission, I would call, is kamatan, means making the suttas a meditation object. We should not be saying like that. Buddha's suttas is a meditation. These are the instructions when he gave originally that made the people, enlightened. While in the end of the sutta it says he attained arhanta, this is his last birth and so on. So these are all recorded like that. So actually the Buddha, in his last days, he gave this last instruction that even if you hear one monk is famous here or he's attained this or that, don't say yes, don't say no. Compare it with my discourses. But I said, that will be your teacher. Like that he has so many times. So these are like for us today. I think in the Western world, it is quite okay. But I'm thinking about the Sri Lankalese community and all that. So there are different monks coming and different teachings coming. So it's also some karma, So actually, when I met my teacher, I thought that all monks are like this in the whole planet. I was so naive, And then later only I realized this was a rare meeting. Rare association, because then I didn't have to search for this or that. He told us to read this suttas, we practice, and that's it, finish. There's no more searching for, and it was a way of practice where we use it to realize, to practice, not to sort of gather knowledge or, kind of intellectualize it or try to find words for Nibbana. He used to tell us that the suttas are pointers to the thinking. They are like signposts. I never forget he used to tell they are like signposts for your, thinking. And they have to be used that way. But the destination is speechless. You can't talk about it. He also used to tell, like the dhyana also you can't talk. The experience of Samadi. And you can't talk about insight knowledge which goes beyond dhyana. Okay? That is infinite. So these are, you can experience it. But if you try to talk it with the five sense language, then, you are going to distort it. And whoever talks about it too much, it shows they have not realized it also. Okay, I'm sorry. I hope I've not disturbed anyone. So anyway, I'm also talking too much, so what to do? So it doesn't matter. Now I will touch, there are some sections I want to touch. It normally takes 3 hours for me because I give a background knowledge of something, because some of these things are connected with my own personal experience in the jungle and also in the Himalayas, like especially coming to these programs. I came here, I think 2017. There was a Malaysian gentleman, I don't know, he's no more, but he's not there. Some years, 2017, there was a... You can't remember? Yeah, he was there when I first did a discussion here. So that time before that, I have told people I will come to teach the teachings when I'm an arahant. Many years ago as a young monk. You know the term arahant, right? Means perfectly enlightened. And I was reluctant even when I found some small mistakes I'm having. I felt, how am I going to teach anything? I should be clear. So I kept on practicing, and many years people only just met by accident and then they got to know something like that. So it was in 2012 I came to the public in Sri Lanka. It was like suddenly crowds started to come just as one program, and just so many people just started to come from. So this was like again 2013-14 I went to the jungle and Himalayas, continue practice. Then 2015 an incident happened to me in Mansarovar. I don't know whether you're familiar with the lake called Mansarovar in Tibet. It's called Kailash. Kailash mountain is there, and close to that there's a huge lake called Mansarovar. It's the biggest lake, 98 kilometers of circumference. So this place I have been going from 2009 yearly. Even last year I was there. Now it covered nearly 10 years of going there. In this place, there's something called in the Himalayas you get this altitude sickness. Have you been to high altitudes anywhere? You know about altitude sickness you get, and there's no medicine for that normally. You have to descend. So here is like 4,900 meters in Mansarovar. And in that place, I was already fit. It was the earthquake time in Nepal. So already, I initially went to visit people who have helped me, during the earthquake. Not the earthquake, before time they have helped me to go to Tibet and all that. So I wanted to go and visit them after the earthquake. I was not planning, and I had some signs not to go that year. I have something like another aspect from to decide certain, it's a divine kind of, age of 18, this also came to me. I call them like the rishis, the seers. I would have been some of their students in the past maybe. So some kind of this thing, I get their communication. So that time it gave me not to go. So, but anyway, the visa I was able to do, and all these things were working. So I don't want to believe too much in this kind of thing also, I want to, if things are working now, why not do it? So that way I went, and I went to Tibet, and there until I came to Mansarovar, I was surprised that, they told me like this, but still, I just managed to come here. But something happened after that. Within few hours, I was fighting for my life. It happened that normally I had made a dip in that, lake in the previous visits. So I was looking for it's always very cold. So where the sun is falling, where I could dip, I was looking for a place. I was walking along the lake. And then there was this like a cave. So I was attracted to go and meditate there. So just as I have reached there, now it's a high altitude from Saga to Mansarovar. It's like sudden, high altitude. So I had not acclimatized enough. So I was really not, I was so fit, I didn't ever think something like this will happen. So there I was exposed to tremendous cold. And then later on, I didn't decide to dip in the water, but there are hot springs. So I thought I will go and, have a bath in the hot springs. So I told my guide to go there, and we went there. Suddenly when I had the hot spring, this thing, I suddenly saw, cold and warm. That sudden, this thing, I felt like a lot of energy going from my body. And then after that, in the vehicle, they were still arranging my room. It's like a desert area. It's like Wild West here. It's like Western Tibet. It's also Western part of Tibet is very rugged area. No facilities. So anyway, there, suddenly I was getting like dizzy, and I knew I was going out of control of my body. So I went to them and said, can you please arrange a room for me? And they arranged a room, and I tried to rest and relax. But they went away, and I was fine. Slowly, I was like, breathing slowly, very hard. Like you run, and how long you're going to go like that? And then I found my hand, I just can't lift also, feeling slowly, very weak. So before I collapsed, I thought I tied my boots and then went to them and said, when they saw me, they knew I got this altitude sickness. Before I've seen people die before trips, I know also we all get it normally, but we slowly get used to the body. So then they knew they were trying to call a doctor, and they brought this one doctor from a village, and at about 11 o'clock, and there's like a local doctor. He had an oxygen bag and all that, and he was trying to revive me, and he checked my pressure. My pressure was very high. So there's no option but next morning to, there's a Takalakot, there's an airport to evacuate me to Nepal, from there. So then they left me and went 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't think I'll make it to the morning, Then I really prepared. I was alone in the room, and then we have a practice. We have trained, to look at the things like khandhas, that body feeling perception, I will explain to you right now. This is how the Buddha, like what we call our ego, what we say is me, is those things. This is like especially the body. And then the consciousness, we have feelings, perceptions, and, reaction. That is the parts of consciousness. So these 5, there's a way of contemplating it. So this I decided to contemplate that while now I thought my last breath. Before that, suddenly a thought came, I couldn't do enough to the people. So then I thought, next birth I will do, what to do now? I had to and like that I made up my mind. Anyway, long story, that I managed to survive that situation. Okay, next day something happened. We missed the flights, then we had to try to descend. So slowly, it took 3-4 days, but I survived. So that is the one that triggered me to now, I should not wait until I become perfect. I should have given something. Because last moment you should not regret like that. It shows some duty you didn't perform. So that's what 2016 I was recovering. This happened 2015, and 2017 I came on my first journey. And this is how that journey started. So then again I went to the forest and this thing, and then recently I came. That was another very special turning point which made me to come, like this. So, because I think that we should not go, at least we should be able to control our destiny. And then only we can, clear our karma. Then we can clear other people's karma. Otherwise, I don't think we are suitable to come. So at least if I get a push from nature or from my inner conscious, then I think it's the right thing. So now I'm going to explain something very quickly because I should cover the main points. It's more like a storytelling and my experience. That's how my discourses go on. So, but that's the 2 hours. I want to make sure I don't think anything you didn't understand, okay, in this. But now this part, very important, you should understand. I mix it up with some experiences I had with previous, like 1.5 years, why I came to give you this, now to give like this. Last year to previous year also I had this difficulty in Kailash, okay, Himalayas. It's also tough, but not as the 2015. I nearly lost my, there was a possibility that I didn't nearly lose. There's a possibility I would have lost my life, but I didn't take the risk. Okay, because I had a weakness in the body in Tibet, and if I went the normal way, I would have been in big trouble. This was the year before. So I took another route because I had an operation before done for stones in Rishikesh, in Himalayas. Do you know Rishikesh? from Delhi about to the north, it's entering to the Himalayas. So there I had to go through this experience because I'm like a lone monk, when it comes to this kind of thing, only here I am being taken. Otherwise, I keep myself very independent. So in the jungle or coming out or walking, I keep myself, in the Tudong way, and don't keep connection with the devotees, daikas. So this I learned from my teacher. Because his life was so independent. And he also told me, don't fall in the hands of the devotees. Like that, he used to warn me. And like this, he gave me a lot of points about... and there's a book that will come out. All my notes, some many years that I have written in the kutia, like under the headings, some things I might share here. Like after I meet him, I used to go and write in small pieces of paper. So it's collected, now some people are putting it out. That will be interesting, very practical and very, how to go on this path to enlightenment. So anyway, last year to previous year, I had this experience. After going through some difficult experience in Himalayas, Kailash again, when I returned back, I had another experience. I was bitten by a dog in Delhi, one by one after that, problem after problem. So I must tell you, not easy this journey, so many obstacles. But I must tell you, when you get like that, there are gems waiting for you. Okay, so then only every time I notice that after so much difficulty and this thing, then if you don't loosen your heart and continue, you're going to get some great things. All right. So it happened like that. I had some special meeting of a person who has developed, his mind in a Samadi way, and he's very famous now in India because in India and everywhere they have now less faith about, the spiritual this thing. Also about monks, they think all these monks have no power, nothing to do. They're like people who are like just eating, sleeping, maybe no special power. So such persons, he's a young yogi. He does certain thing that people are amazed, and like lakhs of people in India, and you get to know something like that, there will be a lot of crowd coming. So my attendant in Sri Lanka, in India, he's the one who told me there's someone like this. Why don't you go and visit Swamiji? He's expecting from me also this. He's going through a lot of trouble. He tells, when you get some power, Swami, Bante, please experiment on me. My Indian, the Kapya. So, let's see. So he told me to visit him. So what happened? I was not concerned. So lakhs of people there, and how am I going to be there? So there was a mountain there, that attracted me. So I visit this mountain, and I had some feeling like that's something special place. So I went there, and really I was connected with the mountain and all that. And he was also not there. Anyway, after that I went another time. And there's a flight from Delhi to that place. When I went there, that time he was in the same flight. That was very interesting. He also have done these programs like this, in some countries. And then he was, then what happened, he, later on in the airport, it was like night, in the late night, when we got down, there's not many people. And then the tarmac, when we were going, then later, out of the airport, I was like a little away. And then he saw me and he called me when he was in the vehicle. He was with a lot of security and all that, like it's so popular and people, anything can happen. So when he came, he called me and he asked me, are you going to that place? I said, yes. And then he told his people, please bring him. And then I went. He went to his home. There's a lot of crowd there with security, and later when we were inside there, he what he does is he's famous for this. In the crowd, he called people by their personal information, like their name or something, and their telephone number, or they will tell somebody to call. So people are waiting like that, and then they come, and when they sit down in front of him, he takes a board and he writes. And when he writes, later he asks, what's the problem? Why did you come? Then they say he had some health issue or some physical problem. And then he showed the board. He had written their problem and the solution, some solution to this thing. So he gives some kind of mantra and, the Hindu way, some practice. So later he does like this. So when he took me to his room, his like an audience place, there are a few people he knew them, I think. He talked to them and he sent them away. And he said, I want a minute with you. And when I was seated, then he did the same thing to me. He didn't take the board, but he told all the like details of, whatever. And later on, I met him so many times. And then he told the reason why I met him with so ease. The security, this, I don't keep phones, so I don't have numbers or anything. And then he told me the reason why we met like that, we were meeting like that we both have been brother monks in the past lives. We have been practicing this thing, and according to him, we were having the same energy, the same type of practices. So yeah, that some part of my practice is connected with that, definitely. And I see like the Nibbana way that is, I don't think he has it at all. So this is another part of my life completely in that. So it was interesting. Later on, one day he came telling me, not enough. So I was wondering, what did he mean by not enough? Later he told, I'll explain it in the kutia. And in his room, he explained your practice. So he said, your practice is okay, but we are expecting you can do more practice, like that. So I went and did the practice more and came back again, and more than what I normally do. Then again, he was not satisfied. Later on, he told me, I will explain. And then you know what? When he told me, your meditation, Samadi meditation is good, is there, but you are analyzing the wisdom, analyzing meditation. This is called the know me meditation. He doesn't know how to say anatta, no self. So he told in his broken this thing, know me meditation. You have to do, this is the highest meditation. This is how he said. And if you practice this, we'll have to search for you. Like that he encouraged me. Then I realized, okay, then he told me there's a book with you. It's funny that I had to bring that book today also. Okay, this book has been in the caves and everywhere, in the Badrinath, in the Himalayas. I take this book. Some problem happened to me. Not a problem, I think it's some kind of, after I became a monk, I had to live a tough life, like a tudong life. That is not because of circumstance. It's like the way we choose. I also like that. I like that commando life of a monk. So it was very inspiring, my teacher's life. And so we followed him. And so then what happened was, initially with my teacher, it was not tough. It was very tough. I had to go long pindapathas, and then Charika also. I was with the LTT. Sri Lanka had a terrorist area those days. It is now freed. So those days I went Tudong. In fact, it's like 1,500 kilometers up and down. Every day like 30 kilometers going, morning 15, evening 15. And so doing all that, suddenly my meditation shifted when I became a monk to Samadi, concentration, because that has power. You don't feel heat, you don't feel cold, you can go on for so many kilometers without any problem. That's why I told some people, even the flight, I'm not flying, the plane is flying. I am in this moment. That peacefulness you can experience, you don't go into that things in the sense world too much. So anyway, so this Samadhi, it went on for many years. And then in the Himalayas also I take this book, but I try to read few pages and again go to Samadhi. And in Samadhi you can go on for hours, you don't feel. Days will go and you don't feel very much. So this went on for many years, and I knew I must go again, read this and contemplate, because as a young boy, I did it very, very strongly. And I was very convinced with that and had certain experience with the suttas, contemplating purely and not too much living in that equanimity. So now it happened such a way. And later I did some analyzing. This happened after one trip I went on Tudong, where I went going from forest to forest. And there's this, I don't know, in Sri Lanka, one area called Knuckles Range. And I was cutting across that range, and there's no compass and all that those days, so I had to use this. There are many things that happen inside, and when I was cutting across, I was wounded. There's some poisonous leaves called mausa. So those leaves, I was wounded so much. And then I was also hidden by leeches, full of leeches. And then have to remove them like this, not one by one. And then while going there, I was met by robbers who looked after me. There's no pathway. So then other things happen, it's a long story, so many things. But anyway, I come to the point, they looked after me in this thing, they tended to me, because there's no human being, you don't think you'll find a human being out. And then they were also shocked to see that I have come across this area. And then they looked after me, and my legs were swelling. And that night, in that, they have like a makeshift with sticks. So in massa kila kiyana, Sinhala danna kattiya, in that masse, then in that I was lying down. Then I was going to meditate. I don't want to die or have something to happen in not having no peaceful mind. So then I was trying to get that samadhi, because we know that with samadhi, concentration power, you don't need to feel the pain. You can practice like that. You don't feel pain. But difficult to get samadhi when your head area is damaged. When there's pain coming more from this, now that poison leaves have touched my face, first I thought they're thorns, but then only I realized this, there's a kind of moss in it. When it touches you, it's like you're whipped. So I am going through those bushes, and I was going out like this, but to see, I have been touching that, the whole body. So in the jungle, normally we have this thing where we take this robe, and the double robe, we fold it and then tie it. So this, the shoulders are exposed to protect the robes. So this is some of our brother monks have, to tell us how to do it. And so when in this thing, I was trying to make my mind, then samadhi, concentration was not happening. Then I suddenly remembered my teacher. He had told us to memorize some striking suttas. So this was the no self sutta, Anatta Lakkana Sutta. Does anybody know this sutta? So no self sutta. This sutta I slowly started to chant and apply. We have a way, not just, as I told you, it's not just chanting or just getting the meaning. We have a way how to apply it as a meditation object to the present moment. So the feeling itself I observed, Buddha says, Vedana bhikkhave anatta. Feeling is not yours. Why is it not yours? Abadaya is subjected to affliction. Then you immediately can note, it looks so simple, that your very painful feeling, you just note it, I am having painful feeling. I don't want to have it, but it's there. So this is one way. When you don't want to have it and it's there, you have no control. That's one clear way, it's not mine. So it looks obvious, but you have to bring that attention. Then again, other one is abadaya samvatteya labbeccha vedana evam me vedana hotu evam me vedana ma ahositi. May the feeling be like this. May the feeling not be like this. It doesn't follow your orders. Okay? So if you have to learn to observe it and watch it, you try it. If you try it, you find what happened to me when I did like that. Suddenly I was not feeling the pain, or the pain was reducing. So I continue to contemplate. There are the other 3 more ways of contemplating. When I end the sutta, I was not feeling pain. I was really, feeling very faith to the Buddha's teaching. In the midst of pain, you don't feel pain. And I know the pain is still there, the feeling is there. And then I was also wondering what happened. I reasoned out, I don't know whether this is correct. Because you have craving or you have clinging, there the suffering perception works. So even though we think we have gone to forest or we have left everything, mentally we are still clinging. So when we bring out this mindfulness and contemplation to an experience, then we let go. When you let go, that perception of suffering depends on clinging. So that perception of suffering diminishes. So this is what would have happened, I think. So this is something, after that experience, as a monk, I do this daily. I used to contemplate this and then use it to metta. All right? So again, this is not the real contemplation. this contemplation is used to attain samadhi. So when you attain concentration by this dhyana or meditation, this way of analyzing, then this analyzing is not going to be to the mark of yoniso manasikara, means wise attention. Okay? So I know this because in the previous to this, I have experienced in that way. Previously, real wise attention, how it's going to be. So normally our meditations tend to go to more that peacefulness, equanimity feeling, and then we stop the deeper contemplation. So because our nature of craving is there, this happens. All right. So then I made this. Now you're getting used to my speeches, and then this yogi, this teacher that time in India, when he told me that know me meditation you have to do now, he knew that I have already, because I see that they can see something deep within you, the karmas as well as your kusal, the wholesome states you have developed. So they knew already I had this potential. I have been developing this in many years back, and this I must awaken this. So anyway, they told me. Then I realized. Then he told me also I have this book near me. If you when you read that book, all the brain will start to work, and it will start to open up areas of your brain, and everything will become clear. So I know this book is the Samyutta Nikaya. I have been carrying it everywhere. Only few pages I have been reading in the forest or jungle. I go to the Samadhi. Then I realized I made it a point. I must force myself to read those sections. So I went to Sri Lanka and started to, Kanda Vagga. So actually my teacher used to tell, if you want to attain the fruit and the path, he to tell to the monks, in fact, you must read the Kanda Salayatana Vagga. Vagga means a section. Kanda means the suttas that have been compiled, which are regarding the five, that it's body, feeling, perception, and mental formation, the factors of consciousness. Okay? So this is to tell, just to read. Now, but in my retreat now, I am actually showing you how to contemplate also, like spoon feeding. Okay, we have now 10-day retreats I made. So after this person told me to go and meditate, do this practice, I went to Sri Lanka and start forcibly reading. But this time not reading I did it fast, not contemplating slowly. I had no time. Even after reading so fast and went back, suddenly I got to know they tell that 80% this meditation has arose. Then I was so inspired. 80%, now I did so much samadhi, concentration, meditation, nothing happened. And now 80% happened just by reading like this. Then I went back again to Sri Lanka to another new jungle because I wanted to change, and read the rest of the Salayatana, means 6 sense organs, that section. I started reading and then I went back. Then he said 120%. Okay, then that's how I started. Not last year, previous year, I accepted a monastery, but not that I made a trust and made them to run it. I still want to be in this way, but I do my duty. So I started retreats, where my teacher gave me this section of suttas, how to read them in 14 days when I spent with them. And I had some special experience in that, where I felt the suttas are like old Buddha. And the teachings we are having today is like, new Buddha means not that is good. It has become, based on our defilements and our lack of concentration, we have interpreted the teachings. So they are originally, if you have a vision from that, those words been guiding you, and that will make you, connect. Such a person will never leave the sutta or will try to give interpretations to it. He will just lay it. My teacher used to tell me like this. Sorry, I'm telling too much my teacher, right? Don't feel annoyed by that. Okay. He used to tell me, if someone is sincere on this path, he will direct you to the suttas. Okay? There's nobody can sincere spiritually. We don't know spiritually if people are also sincere. All right. So I think according to your karma, you might associate any teacher or anyone, but I think you should have your own reference. Have the books beside you and go through it. So I'm going to talk about something quickly about what you will see in the sutta. It's just some idea. One is about, we have a body and we have consciousness. Now the consciousness is a big question even in the modern times. Still not well understood. Okay, is that clear? in the Western, neuroscience or whatever, still the consciousness is, they are thinking that it is a function of the brain, like it's a brain materially happening or chemically happening. Okay, still under research. By the time that research goes on, of course, I think in the Eastern philosophies, they had already knowledge of the consciousness. Even as the ancient seers, rishis, it was already known. Consciousness was known as a separate thing from the body. Body is taken as a vehicle for consciousness. You'll never find consciousness as a material thing. It's very much separate. And very much good teachings are given by, what's his name? Deepak Chopra. And he gives a lot of, he talks with, he really gives a good explanation to the modern. Based on ancient Upanishads and Vedic philosophy, they already know about consciousness as something separate and also how it's connected with karma. Karma. Okay? Anyone doubt, you should not believe karma, So I think you should go through Edgar Cayce and just still don't believe it, just see, find out, So karma law, it's very much related how a consciousness, we get a consciousness. And especially the last moment of consciousness, like the conditioned nature of consciousness is very important. I'm going to tell something which my teacher used to tell me is very deep, and he prepared my mind. And I'm doing this for all programs and everything, okay, because this is the only gift I have. I have one target, one goal, just to give you all this one particular thing and prepare you all in case you want to become enlightened or awakened one day according to the Buddha's, instruction. So what happened? You have, one thing also I must explain. When you die, we have something, we have these 5 khandhas, okay, body, feeling, perception. And how does it happen normally? We have we have the ear, we have the sound wave, okay. When you take them, they are the material part. Based on this, there's an initial reflection or attention that comes. Say you're first unconscious, okay. You have the flesh body, okay. Then you become conscious, all right. Initially, when you become conscious, there's that attention, there's object, there's the ear, and there's the slight attention that comes. With that slight trace of consciousness, immediately there is a feeling. It says something happen. It's that there is that feeling. That is called the feeling part of the consciousness. Immediately when you feel, you perceive that feeling, or you judge it, as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. That is called the perception. Okay. When you judge as pleasant or unpleasant, when you judge as pleasant, there's something that happens that reacts with greed, as unpleasant with aversion, and with neutral as delusion. Okay. This reaction is called mental formations. That's called karma. Also, that's called sankhara in the Pali. Okay. In the English, this is called mental. This is what we call it. We have volition. We have intention. So if you only think that way, that reaction is going to be mind karma. If you talk that way, it will be word karma. If you act, it will become action karma. Okay, this is how the mechanism works. So this is where these 5 things only we associate as our self. We get an idea of a self to the body mostly, and the consciousness, not easy. We can sometimes reduce our idea of self to the body, but to the idea of our consciousness, not easy. But there's a way I will explain how the Buddha explains how to contemplate, to know the consciousness is also not yours. All right? So this is clear how it happens. We have a body and we have a consciousness. In the consciousness we have feeling, perception, and so on. Any question? No? Okay. Shall I explain and then you can ask, or anything you don't understand in this, you can ask. Is there anything? No? All right. So this is, Buddha explains in his first discourse also, birth is suffering, old age is suffering, death is suffering, like this. And finally says in short, the 5 khandhas are suffering. So all this happens to what? The 5 khandhas. Okay, 5 parts of what we call a being, a person. So this is very important in our rebirth process also. The consciousness is conditioned. Now, in the ancient Hindu yogic way, even as Buddha, as a bodhisattva, before he became a Buddha, he also practiced this, and he was also this thing, and he was finally not satisfied. Because the reason was they were also looking for liberation. They call it moksha in the Sanskrit term, So how was that liberation? They also was trying to escape from the consciousness. So what they did was they attained samadhi, concentration. They thought that is an escape. Because in that state, you don't have anger, no greed. But Buddha found there's delusion. Okay? These two are not there. So you don't make karma. That's why I said if you become peaceful in the morning and you start the day, that means while you are peaceful, you are not getting angry and you are not getting irritated. So this way you are not making karma. Okay? To get that peacefulness, you must really get focused into either through compassion meditation or anapanasati. You must reduce your gross body tension. Then only you feel like a floating sensation. Until then, you should never go out of your room to do your other duties. If you are very concerned about stopping karma and to live a peaceful life. So these things I hope I will try to touch what you should be doing. So anyway, so when you react like that, normally the objects you get and the organ we get is based on the karma you had to work out. Because we need a body for feelings to happen. So then you get the corresponding consciousness where we can, we will experience, say in short, if we give suffering to somebody, we have to get that suffering. If we scold somebody, then we have to stay in an office where the boss is shouting. Okay? Or we'll have to meet a wife or a husband or a partner who is going to, what we are given only we get. Sometimes we don't understand this, so we change the wife, we change the boss, we change this thing. Later we realize, oh, it's the same person. I don't have time to explain real stories that I have noticed and observed because now I think we have another half an hour, no? So the time is clicking. So I just have to rush, okay? So what happened? This is how the karma works. So I'm going to come to a very important point. The last moment, the last thought, we are very concerned. All right. Normally, even in other faiths also, they try to bring the priest or whatever. They believe that you must die peacefully. Okay. There's unconsciously or not, people feel this is the best. If we are going to die, we must die peacefully. So normally, now in the other traditions, in Hindu tradition also before Bodhisattva also, they found how to escape from the karma. It's by attaining samadhi. Now samadhi is also another state of consciousness. Okay. So that's how the Buddha find out the conditioned nature of consciousness and he removes the conditions. This is a very deep thing. Now leave alone in the modern science whether they find, they are trying to find, they don't know what consciousness even. Do you think Elon Musk, that in a robot he will create a consciousness, some of them? If he does that, tell me, I will disrobe and come. I'll have to disrobe. Big problem. So consciousness is well known those days also. In the Eastern philosophy, they already knew. So it's based on karma you get the type of consciousness. So to get the consciousness, each organ has a different consciousness. The frog has a different consciousness. The human being has a different consciousness because the bodies are different. Okay, so now it needs an object. These conditions are necessary for the consciousness. The organ must be intact, the object must be there, and there should be that attention, then only it arises. Okay, in slow motion. So this conditioned nature of consciousness to know is very important. This is where the Buddha breaks the conditions. Okay, I'll come to that. It's based on how my teacher explained one time. I used to like to listen to that. It gives me a lot of peace. And then later on in solitude with the sutas, the original teachings going, reading them, it made a big sense. So that's how you start. First you understand intellectually, theoretically, and then if you live a pure life also, you sharpen your brain, then you will have this experience happening intuitively. Okay, so then you must remember this. You have an object, you have the organ, and you have to have that attention. So those ancient rishis and Buddha also tried them, and he found that you reach another, it's called normally pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is also consciousness. All right, it's called Satchitananda in the Hindu yogic traditions. So then Buddha found out also that you come back again. That's also sankhara. So that is based on the feeling. Still you would have the idea of ego, because you have a feeling, and when you have a feeling, you are attached, you get the sense of I. Okay, now even your leg, if it's numb, and if you don't see it from your eyes, you will think whether my leg is there. You get that question, is the leg there? When the feeling comes to your leg, you begin to feel this is my leg. So you will notice that, with the feeling only, you get the idea of I, if you crave for it. Of course, feeling is there always to give craving. So automatically craving will come and the sense of I will come. Actually, this I does not exist. I hope we have time to explain that, how it happens in the original suttas. But anyway, now even you can take, for example, you take a food, it touches you. You see it as chocolate or some bitter thing or something. You enjoy it. You think, I am enjoying it. That feeling is mine. But if you watch it, while it's touching only, that feeling is there. And when the food is, properly munched and you think that feeling doesn't happen. So you see, if I was the person, if I am the feeling, then when that feeling finishes, I must also die or disappear. It doesn't happen like that. So the I is like a phantom, like a illusion in your mind, that thinking this is I. Okay, this is a very interesting part of how the I is formed. So this craving is normally when you die, two things happen. You have a last thought. Now last thought comes, now even to come to this, to meet here, you had somebody told you this, there's a program like this. And then you got the urge to come. So that is your desire. And the information you get, there's a program, it's the karma. Okay? So you have karma, somebody giving you the information, there's a program, and you have a desire. Maybe you have been inclined to this life and maybe previous life also. You are interested about Buddhism or about life or about philosophy or about, there's some background to it. That is karma background. So that makes you then come and now you experience the karma. Okay, same way, when you're dying, according to what you have to experience in the past, in the future, you have a last thought which propel that. Start that karmic process. All right? So then the last thought comes to people. Now, normally if you're living a normal life where you didn't do much meditation, you maybe did good deeds, but you're attached. Okay? So normally you're attached to family, you're attached to working places. So when you attach means you do something with attachment, you create karma. And when you attach, you get irritated also automatically when obstacles come. Then you create karma. So normally you have accumulated karma of the sensual world. So such a thought most probably will come at the death moment. So normally, I know people in Corona time also, where they have faced near-death experience, and they tell, I didn't remember anything, Bhante. I was remembering my son. Because if they have that attachment strongly, normally as a family, as a parent, you have that attachment to children too much. So if he doesn't have too much good karma, it might lead them to that birth will be not a solid birth. That's another story, another mechanism. It is like a spirit or ghost. Now, some of our ancestors are like this with us even right now, and who had not enough merit, had too much attachment. I have no time to tell all the background things about it to prove it and all that, but I will try to cover this, okay? So, very important one I must cover. So what happened now, if you have enough merit, there's another thing that you get a birth accordingly, maybe human plane to continue again with this kind of interactions. Or it might be decided, there's a way of deciding also. There's another interesting mechanism in those planes, the interim birth, rebirths, where it's decided to go down or up. And I wish I could have explained more about the mechanism of that. So anyway, last moment you get a thought, okay? When you get a thought, and there's another thing happens when you die. There's a last breath, okay? Two things happen. You get a last thought and a last breath. So normally such a person, when they're dying, when they get the last thought, do you think they can keep attention to the last breath? What do you think? No, right? It's very obvious, okay? So when they get distracted by the last thought, do you think the conditions for consciousness is there or not? Object is there, the mind is working, and then you have attention because of craving. Then will it get connected? Do you think the conditions for consciousness to arise is there or not? There, right? You have to think, because you have to become enlightened. Wise attention is this thinking. Now I'm trying to put you to that. Not me actually, how my teacher brought me to this. You have to think the Dhamma. Sometimes now we have not think too much of the Dhamma. Of course, intellectually thinking is not good. But this thinking you must make use. Then only you must place to your present moment, mindfulness, you mix it. Then you will get the right mixture. Okay? So this thinking, very important to think of the Dhamma. This, when you think enough, this is called Sati Sambojjhanga, Dhamma Vijay Bojjhanga. They are called the enlightened factors. They start to work in the mind. Alright? So what happened? Now there are conditions. Now have you heard about, then consciousness will arise. When consciousness arises, there will be name and form, rebirth will happen. This is the rebirth process. Alright? So think someone who has overcome all attachment to this 5 sense world. That is we call anagami, non-returner. Okay? Non-returner, why is he called non-returner? He doesn't return to this plane because he has no anger, greed. That defilements permanently not there, as well as no karma for him to work out here. So when he dies, of course he's still attached to dhyana or meditation, and he's not perfected to become arahant. He perfected in the Brahmaloka. So when he dies also, he has a last breath. And he has also a last thought maybe. So can he focus on the last breath? What do you think? Think about it. Does he have still craving? Does he have still karma? You have to think like that. So does he have these 2 things? If he does have, then maybe. So do you think he can watch the last breath? What do you think? You're answering quite correctly immediately. Have you heard this somewhere or what? Okay. No, huh? All right. Why? Because he has karma, and what is the last object? What could be the last distracting object to such a being, great being? Okay, they are meditation. Okay? They are dhyana or samadhi. That becomes an object. So then the conditions for consciousness is there or not? It is? But it is what? It's not a multiple choice question. What do you think? You just learn to think about it in Dhamma way. It is what? The conditions are there, right? We know the conditions are you need the organ, you need an object, and then you need that attention. So the conditions are fulfilling. Then the consciousness will be there. Then he will be reborn in the Brahmaloka, according to those higher worlds. All right? Think of an arahant. He has no karma. Okay? He has no craving. The last moment, the last thoughts, that the karma is not there for him to get that. The last breath goes, think you are becoming arahant. Now what I am speaking should be applied to you. This simple thing it may be. When the last breath goes, can he keep his attention to the breath like that? He has no attachment to the breath either. Can he keep watching it to the last moment? Just picture yourself. If you keep watching like that, he can keep like that, then is there any conditions for consciousness to arise? Okay. So my teacher used to tell me, this is deep. Just keep it like that. And he used to warn me. I used to love when he explains this. And when he told me, it is deep, keep it like that. And later on, when I was going to the original sutras, where the way he told us to look through, then it becomes very big sense. Okay? Especially the khandhas are connected with, the 5 khandhas are connected with craving, attachment. They don't exist. Actually, consciousness uses body, feeling, perception, and mental formations as an object. So it is bound by karma, bound by craving. Okay? So when craving is removed through wisdom, then the consciousness doesn't get a focus. Okay? So then it's able to rise, the conditions are taken away. So this is what happens in this process of coming out of samsara. Alright? It's a very big, deep this thing. We don't have much time, so I'm just trying to quickly, I just read this one sutta also quickly, connected with this thinking, okay? So that I want you to encourage you to read the suttas, but do it as a meditation now. All right? It's not something you read it. Have you read, any of you read that word of the Buddha? Okay. Word of the Buddha by Gnanaloka Mahathera. This is the book that made my teacher from a Hindu yogi to a Buddhist in the intern camp in in Dehradun, in North India. Second World War time, after the war, all of them were taken to, Germans were taken there. And the German monks were there, and he was given this book, The Word of the Buddha. And this is what is all from the sutas taken. So they are like an introduction, meditation, it's like a handbook for one. All the main concepts are written in that book. I know it's hot, right? You all are going to faint now. Get this power, whether it's heat or cold. I hope you all will. I know it's difficult. Yesterday also program, they had a problem with the AC. They opened the windows. You can open.
They're open. It was really cold before, but we've heated up because of the number of people. So this one doesn't want to turn.
I think now attaining Nibbana is becoming a fashion. I hope so. All right. Okay, we go through this sutta. I quickly go through this. Okay, I want you all to think. I want to refer to the Buddha's original words. Make it a meditation. I hope I have given you some key to your. Okay, this is called Halidakani Sutta. You don't have these books. It's the Samyutta Nikaya Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation of the Samyutta Nikaya. So, Kinder Saints, I think, and then. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Venerable Mahakachana was dwelling among the people of Avanti on Mount Papata at Kurugara. Then the householder Halidakani approached the Venerable Mahakachana, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, Venerable Sir, this was said by the Blessed One in the questions of Sakka. Those ascetics and Brahmins who are liberated in extinction of craving are those who have reached the ultimate end. No, wait a minute, I'm sorry. The first one. Okay, thus have I heard, on one occasion the Venerable Mahakachana was dwelling among the people of Avanti on the Mount Papata at Kurugara. Then the householder Halidakani approached the Venerable Mahakachana, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, Venerable Sir, this was said by the Blessed One in the questions of Magandhya of the Attakavagga. Having left home to roam without abode, in the village the sage is intimate with none. And how, householder, does one engage people in dispute? No, it's a mix, okay? I get rid of sensual desires, rid of sensual pleasures, without expectation, he would not engage people in dispute. So having left home to roam without abode, in the village the sage is intimate with none, rid of sensual pleasures, without expectations, he would not engage people in dispute. How, Venerable Sir, should the meaning of this, stated by the Blessed One, in brief be stated in detail? The form element, householder, is the home of consciousness. One whose consciousness is shackled by lust for form element is called one who roams about in a home. The feeling element is the home of consciousness. The perception element is the home of consciousness. Volitional formations is the home of consciousness. One whose consciousness is shackled by lust for volitional formations element is called one who roams about in a home. It is in such a way that one roams about in a home. And how, householder, does one roam about homeless? The desire, lust, delight and craving, the engagement and clinging, the mental standpoints, adherences and underlying tendencies regarding the form element, these have been abandoned by the Tathagata. Cut off, Tathagata means Buddha referring to himself. Okay, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated so that they are no more subject to future rising. Therefore the Tathagata is called one who roams about homeless. The desire, lust, delight and craving, the engagement and clinging, the mental standpoints, adherences and underlying tendencies regarding the feeling element and so on, right? It goes on to each one. So it's very interesting to see how this is actually, this is from the Khandavagga. Slowly you get used to thinking of that. Now in the retreat, they are going to go through all of it for a few days, and then there's a shift of contemplation. So this, you have to learn to think in your walking meditation. Now you can read like this, one of these connections, and in your walk, you can contemplate about it. And especially in your walking meditation, you might get some deep insights. Okay, when you sit down meditation, I would suggest go for more samadhi with metta or anapanasati. And then read a bit and then do the walking. In the walking, just learn to see the Dhamma in your mind. That's very important. And then time to time, pay attention to the present moment. Okay, that's very important, like your steps and all that. Not too much looking like that. Soon you must bring to think of the Dhamma. Think of the these points. This mainly what is read from the Buddha, not your own thinking. Sometimes your own thinking might go on, is good, that means you're trying. But then again you must learn to read and refer and just keep your attention in that. And especially when your mind becomes more pure and peaceful, suddenly those same words will make you see an entire different thing. Okay, that's going to happen in this. That's why I call this book a magic book. Okay, this is very true. It has a magic. It will remove your karma. It will clear your karma. It will burn your karma. Okay, this has a special effect. All right. So I cut short so many things. It's not easy for me to try to cover these points. Anything you like to ask? So to make me interesting, also, these are all my old things telling you all.
So we can take questions. I'll pass the microphone across to someone.
Yes.
We'll go online as well. Questions?
There's someone behind. There's someone behind. They're lifting the hand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your talk. I find it very fascinating that you say the last moment before passing away, you say is to focus on the breath, not on the consciousness attached to the form. Could you elaborate a little on that? Just the breathing, like just in, out, in, out.
I will tell you something.
Okay, thank you.
Now she wants to get a shortcut method. You know why? Many would ask, like now, even when I was a young boy, I used to think that when I'm going to die, I must focus on the breath. I had no idea what it is. Okay, when I was very small, like 7, 8, just I thought, when I'm going to die, I'm going to Usmadiya Balanoni. I must look at the breath. Okay, if you're looking at the breath all the time, because habit works at the last moment. Say, if you have been going to Gold Coast, I don't know, Gold Coast? And maybe so many other places all the time. You remember Gold Coast, what happened there? I don't know, I'm just imagining Gold Coast, maybe a fun place, right? Okay. And last thought will be determined by, it will happen naturally if your desires are reduced, and arahant, it will happen. Not only the breath, they will be watching the immediate feelings that will come. So it's not necessary that maybe a deadly feeling. There are suttas where you come to that practice. I call this the parachute jump, which I give in the end of the retreat. Parachute jump, why I call it parachute jump, I relate it to the commandos. They have the special forces, they have a last training where they have the parachute jump as well as the mission both together. They have to do the mission as well as training, because they have an ongoing training as commandos. I think previous life I would have been in the army. Okay, so I feel like this. Actually, I feel the monks also. That's why my life sometimes stayed in a very extreme kind of practices of physical way. So in the parachute jump, it tells about, parachute jump is called the Vedana. In the Vedana Samyutta, it's called Buddha goes and discourse to the sick ward. So here, there he gives, these are the last suttas my teacher gave me as reference. The last, he called this reference, he had the notebook where he had, under different themes, he allocated all the suttas, separated them for his practice for many years. So in that, he gave me only little, based on how I practice. Okay, he to tell Metta Vihari, the Danish monk, to, give that boy, this numbers, suttas. So the last things he gave us, it was this category of, this section of suttas. It is called Kala Magameya, means, Kala Magami in the Pali, means the time has come. So what he meant by time has come means, what do you mean? Time for lunch? Yeah, time of passing away. So he has categorized some suttas which Buddha directly deals with how to face it, how to do what you should be doing. So in that sutta, it gives how to live mindfully and, with wise attention. Mindful as well as wise attention, these two together. How to live that. When you live like that, you will die like that. So looking at the breath, I think it should come automatically. With you doing all other things and just you think I learn to practice, because your dominant karma will start to come that time. You can't think that if you just, because you practice this, but you have done all sort of things in the karma loka sensual world, God, then that will definitely come. You will not be able to think about this. So better you study the Dhamma and then you are practicing according to that, and maybe seeing in terms of khandhas, and also practice this for sure. And when you are doing that, when your defilements are getting cleared and this thing, then definitely you will have a good thought. And even if it is go to your heavenward or even Brahmaloka, because you have practiced the Dhamma and you go, you get a place where you will hear the Dhamma. The same type of karma will be getting manifested. So nothing too different will be there than what you are now practicing when you die and go. So you can even know what next life might be, how you're spending now. It can't be suddenly it opens up to some different world, no. So you better to get the confidence now you are practicing so much and really mastering, you're not postponing things for tomorrow. And I also tell you have to be really careful about phones and all that, how you use them, because you have to sharpen your mind. You can't have so many entanglements to the sense world and expect you will get, so you have to just limit it to your work. Because a lot of addiction can happen. You can drain your energies from these devices. So I think this is one very important aspect of things, that if you really want to practically, build up your body and mind to enlightenment, you in the modern day you must really think. Otherwise, just you are listening to Dhamma. Always it will be through all this thing. But you will never be a person who will realize the Dhamma. You will always have doubt, and you will go to different teachings. There's so much available also. And this also happens now, though this simple, now in Sri Lanka it comes to people now, they are getting to know, like they are telling me like that Bhante is making a way to Nibbana in a very simple way. This is not the simple way, this is the old way, because it's lost. So now some of them are practicing and getting some experience. But when they go out of the monastery, who are waiting to ordain also, they are getting all these low Dhamma, getting to hear that you need Abhidhamma to realize, and all these different views, and they also get some doubt because they are also used to hear Nibbana in a complicated words. So then in this way, when they don't get it like that, and when they hear from other people telling like this, then they get doubt. So this problem we didn't have those days. So they have to face a challenge. Unless they get a solid experience from this, they will never lead suttas. If someone is leaving sutta, that means they have not got an experience from that yet. So if they have not got, I don't know from where, it's very well known, it's the oldest text. I have met some professors and all that, from that level, entomology, I don't know, study of language or what, I don't know. That way also they prove that this is the oldest, this thing. But for us, it is from our meditation experience. There's no doubt about it. When I had my initial, this thing as a before monk also, then it came to my mind, this is old Buddha. The suttas look old because now is our way of interpreting, and we would like that. Actually, if Buddha comes now, maybe you like to listen to my discourse than the Buddha, because it's more entertaining and it's suiting to our level of consciousness. But that doesn't mean that we get the real Nibbana here. No, we will get duplicate Nibbana from here. The real Nibbana, you'll have to go to the real master. Keep this in mind. I think the Western community doesn't happen too much, but in this thing is happening too much. Any question quickly? But good question. Do you get an answer? Wait. Do you get an answer?
Yes. So it's not just on the breath, because what you're focusing on is that you have to live your life and be conscious. So that at that time you're already living hopefully the good, the correct way that you get Nibbana.
Correct.
Or hopefully reborn in a good space that you can still hear the Buddha.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you might realize Nibbana also. It's not that you cannot focus it all the time, but by the meantime, you might, if you're reading the books and all that, and meditating according to that, and contemplating on that, already you are, working. Buddha tells that, he guarantees, last moment you will experience Nibbana if you're practicing like that. In case some obstacle come due to some distraction, next birth, very early age, you will attain it. So take those Buddha's words,
Venerable Sir, thank you for the Dhamma. From what I understand, you were saying that we may use sutta as a method for meditation. How do I avoid from thinking and too much thinking in the meditation so that I'm actually meditating with the sutta and not proliferation, useless thinking?
Daydreaming and all that, yeah. It's good to chant something inspiring. Think about something inspiring initially. To think of something inspiring, like the Buddha's qualities. It's not like a gatha, not like a verse. It should bring tears into your eyes. It should touch your heart, like it's something you should find. It may be a song that might inspire you, that triggers you. Faith of the Buddha, okay? There's some imagination, some incidents that happen in his lifetime, like that. This kind of thing, it's also helpful to reduce that, mental proliferation. Okay, and that's one thing. Or if it's too much, you can also chant, 108 times Buddha's one quality or Buddho Bhagavati or something like that. Then only just one thought, it also can reduce it. Okay, and so these are some small things you can do like that. And the other thing is how you spend daily, how you do your activities will reduce that daydreaming thing. And when you're conscious that, especially in your solitude also, it can happen more. Because when you're in a kind of vacuum, you might have more mental proliferation, and the other one is more desire for the food, and you might have more sleepiness coming. These are when you're in isolation. So, but in normally it's better to chant something inspiring, have some few verses to chant or feel. You must change them so that you can start with that energetic mind, and then go to the reading. Okay, that can be done. And if it's all nothing, but just relax, let them come, let the thoughts come, and just relax and watch, let it come. Have you tried this, chanting something? It will reduce the overthinking,
What I meant is, let's say if I were to read a sutta, non-self sutta, as mentioned by Bhante.
Yes.
Then I use it for meditation. But then how do I know that I'm actually using it for meditation and not thinking?
Okay. Not thinking, but wisely. This how you do it normally is, when you are reading the book, I didn't tell you this. When you are reading the book, before you read the book, you must come to the present moment much as possible. Can you pay attention to now? Can you hear properly what is any sounds? Relax and hear properly. Some sound, I think, of the vehicles or something you're hearing, right? Far away, like a shh sound. Somebody talking. Relax and try to hear the sounds. When you're doing that, do you now notice a physical function in your body? Does some physical function become obvious? Can you hear the beat of your heart or liver or something? Or anything else more really becomes very, obvious. What is it? Does anyone notice anything in their own body? No, just notice anything happening in the body. Breathing, yes. In breathing and out breathing, you'll notice. Not that you're trying to do anapanasati, no, I'm just telling you, pay attention and just plainly think, what do you... Breathing, okay? When you come to that, like that, that much of relaxing and moment, then only you must read the book, okay? When you read the book, first you must imagine yourself like outside. Like not too much imagine how you're seated, but just picture yourself how you are, like how now I am holding my robe like this and I'm seated like this. So I just picture myself sitting down. Then only I read that and then I try to apply to me. Okay? So you learn to do that exercise, and if you hold into something, you'll find when you're really applying, you're letting go. This whole purpose of the teachings is to let go. the letting go. So already if you're very greedy, you can't do this practice. If you're a person who is reducing your greed and want to reduce more, then such a person, when they apply and visualize the teaching and apply to their actual experiences, there you find you feel light. You feel light in the forehead. You feel light in the brain area. Some joy. Okay? That is the right direction you're keeping, that you're applying the teaching like that. Otherwise, you're not trying to connect the suttas or try to find something. No. Then only it becomes a meditation object. So even that reflection is still gross. Okay? But you're in the right direction. Okay? So it will get clearer when you attain Samadhi. Okay, Samadhi, because what is obstacle for intuitive is, I told you, reptilian brain. So a lot of desires, a lot of aversion, a lot of worry, fear, and this kind of state of mind. So when you attain Samadhi, it is said, then the possibility is there. You said in silence you hear the voice of God. There's a saying like this, right? In silence you hear the voice of God. I would say in silence you hear the voice of Buddha. What is that voice? Very interesting, this saying, Sound is the first thorn for Samadhi, Dhyana, first Dhyana. Okay? It is said a thorn, an obstacle, sound. That's why we try to stay in silent places to come to Samadhi. So now, when you get first Dhyana, first meditation experience, there is Piti Sukha, means bliss and this thing. The mind is free from the 5 hindrances. So when you attain this kind of state of mind, there are so much chances. That's why the sutta you should not try to understand. If you understand too much, it's not good. It should just make an impact. If you don't, that's why I understand, you must skip to the other sutta. You must not try to squeeze the meaning. Because these suttas were told when the person was prepared, when Buddha was alive. Okay? It was not when it was maybe after 5 years, after 10 years, when they were ready, Buddha came, he knew from his Buddha awareness, the person's faculties were ready, then he told. Otherwise, he told how to attain Samadhi and all these other steps until they prepared. So we have to be patient. We don't have the Buddha to give us the one that, but we have like a bunch of keys. Okay? So we have to try which key, and one of them, if the bunch of keys is also lost, then there's no hope, no chance that we will, even by trying, we can get something. Okay?
One more question, I think.
So, Venerable Gnanaloka, with our thoughts, I think we are collecting karma. So we are trying to skip our actions, bad actions, because we know that we are collecting bad karma. Sometimes unknowingly some thoughts are coming. We know those thoughts are not good. With those thoughts, how those karma collecting, and whether it is same powerful as the
actions.
Karma we are collecting through actions.
Don't worry. Sometimes, when you think this thought is very bad thought, that thought will start to come. Even sometimes when somebody try to offer offerings to the Buddha statue and all that, suddenly you get a bad thought. You worry, I should not get it, and it starts coming so much, and they fear so much. So I think it's like the Maharaj's play, He's trying to make you frightened. You just tell to yourself, this bad thought is not that bad. Okay, it is not bad. It is not bad. It's just a thought. Okay, so just allow it. You can purposefully even think of a thought again. All right, and let it be. Relax. So it's not like that. It doesn't think like that. So this way of how you take it, of course, your consciousness that you being conscious that I should not think of a bad thought, but you having being that feeling that will make you have these thoughts come up again. But don't worry. It's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. So you can chant something, but don't tell it to go away. You take it as a visitor who comes, and just can come take a seat and, give him some food to eat, let it be some time, and let them go on their own. Okay?
Bhante, it's about 11 now. What we normally break, but I'm not certain. Are there more questions that people would like? So we've got a few more questions, but also I haven't checked with you. So normally we do a dana and rice pindapata. I'm not certain if
I will wait. I will do this because I won't like to spend the time with them much as possible.
So perhaps what we might do is make our formal announcements, which we need to make for the online audience, and then those people who wish to stay and ask questions, we can just continue. And
Yes,
does that seem like a reasonable idea?
It's fine because I need like only 15 minutes before 12 to take my food.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the announcements. Thank you, Bhante. Okay, so just a couple of announcements. So first of all, thank you to the lady who promptly moved her car when there was a blockage with our neighbours. So just for everyone, I know we've got a lot of visitors here. We need to keep peace with our neighbours, okay? And if we don't, then there will be parking restrictions imposed here, and it's not in the interest of anyone. So 600 millimetres on either side of the curb is the regulation, so just make sure you do comply with that. And for everyone, it's a shared responsibility. So if you do see that, just come and see one of the people. If you see some obstruction, just come and see one of the people up the front here who's organising the event, and we can manage that before the neighbour gets really irate, okay? So on with other announcements. So the retreat
giving
centre...
some blessings. If you can stay 5 minutes, no problem. Okay, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so just on with some other announcements. So the retreat centre. So we have some cleaning and general tidying up that we need help from the community for the retreat centre in preparation for the retreat next week with Ajahn Brahm. If you're able to offer some help with this type of work between now and Friday, then come and see me or send an email to office@bsv.net.au and they will put you in touch with the retreat centre coordinator to help sort that out. Okay, so a couple of upcoming events. So 26th of January, Australia Day, that's the official opening of the Sanctuary of Stillness Retreat Centre with Ajahn Brahm. There are bus tickets still available for that. There's about 10 or so available. So if you want help with booking that, come and see me in the office at the end. And then, or book them online. You can do that. You can still book them online. And more details on that event will be published on our website and newsletter next week. Also on the 27th of January, which is the Australia Day public holiday, that's the one-day meditation retreat with Ajahn Brahm. That event is fully booked. For those attending, please bring a plate of ready-to-eat food to share with the Sangha and other retreatants on the day. So more details on that event will also be published in our newsletter next week. And then for Sunday, the 9th of February is the Lunar New Year at the Buddhaloka Centre here. It was incorrectly published as the 2nd of February on the events poster inside the newsletter, so that is actually the 9th of February. And then the 17th to the 24th of April is a 7-day retreat with Ajahn Brahmali over the Easter period, and registrations will open early February for that one. I won't go through the other announcements in details, but just for people who attend the Tuesday night meditation, so Sandeep, who does the laypersons-led guided meditations, doors will open this year at just before 7:30. He normally opens it up at 7. He says it's going to be opening up at 7:30 this year. And then for next week's teaching program, we've got Ajahn Sadharo on the Sunday, and then Monday night will be Ajahn Sadharo. And just a request here from the Sangha, from Sangha Transport, can anyone offer a lift back to Newbury on Tuesday? So this is for Venerable Sumangalo. So he needs a lift back to Newbury on Tuesday, the 14th of January at 8:30 a.m. So if you have, if you're able to offer that lift to Ajahn, to Bhante, then come and see me and I'll pass it on to Ajahn Nisarno. Okay, that's it for announcements.
Back to questions, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, more questions? Anyone? Yes.
Sorry, Bhante, does breathing as a phenomena exist in the heavenly worlds and the Brahma worlds for those beings to practice Anapanasati?
You can go and try there. See how it really happens. I don't know. I have no conscious of my previous lives ever been there. I'm sure the Dhamma is practiced. It depends on the type of karma you do here. As I told you, like it gets. I have seen one sutta before, where like if you have been studying, memorizing, and penetrating the Dhamma and living a holy life, then you rise in Devaloka, higher lokas, then you, because of the karma, and type of karma you have made, you're not like the other devas, that you come in, you have the, because of the karma, you see, we know Sankara Pacha Vijnana, right? So I have many stories about what I also experienced regarding this consciousness is coming out of past karma. So because you are associated Dhamma and all that, then that Devaloka or the divine world is a place where also you will hear the Dhamma. There will be Dhamma, this thing. Otherwise, it says someone who is in the world here, who has developed psychic power, that such a monk, they go and teach the Dhamma to that particular monk or whatever. He has that karma to hear the Dhamma even in that realm, if they go like that. So like this is there. But regarding the Anapanasati, whether the breath is there, maybe you can go and check. That time tell me also. Okay. Any other question? You want to ask something else? Yes, first time somebody asked me this question. I'll check out it.
Bhante, you mentioned Sankara Pachaya Vijnana and Vijnana Pachaya Namarupa. I am interested as to, is that there's a time gap between, is that karma happening where Sankara's Pachaya Vijnana as of a particular format, and then the Vijnana is of a particular format, which is Namarupa? I'm not sure if the English catches or it fully explains it.
Mm-hmm. Then you have like avidya pacha sankara, sankara pacha vijnana. Vijnana, you can keep it wait in case. The time limit means like their condition, like when so when there's vijnana and namarupa, it is supposed to be like two ships, like it's one support in the other. Okay, vijnana and namarupa. So they are like so you can't take one out and then the other. It's like they are together. Okay, one supporting each one. Like you put two sticks together, like balancing on, depending on each other. So same way, it's like it's supporting this one and that one is supporting that one. So it's like, so even the Sankara Pacha Vijnana, it has you can take it also like previous, what you have done the Sankara or mental formation is bringing out the present Vijnana. And then immediately you are experiencing and then you're immediately reacting. That is also Sankara. So that way also you can know. But the important thing is in these links, in Wheel of Life, Paticcasamuppada, is to know that this is a conditioned thing. That this is the cause of this effect. So when you analyze or contemplate the conditionality, then only you get the real experience of impermanence. Because the conditions are impermanent, the effect has to be impermanent. This is the way, the deepest way you can. So this is only just a pointer, but they will help you. This link. That's why you must not try too much to understand it verbally or conceptually. You should just keep it there, but keep your meditation going and keep that reflections going, or change the other suttas. Then you might suddenly get a moment where this wow experience. Okay, this wow experience, So, this is it. It will be something like that. So for that you have to keep your level. You have some patience. Leave it in that, in that framework of thinking. The Buddha is telling, don't go beyond that. But you can try thinking. But this cause and effect is very important link. This many places now you have another way. We can observe a feeling we experience and it's finished. Okay. Now immediately, a few minutes ago, this gentleman was saying something that arose and it passed away. You can contemplate that way also is impermanent. But there's another way how to see impermanence in the suttas the Buddha gives. How did I experience these experiences? That's a contact, that's a conscious experience. Then that consciousness depends on what? A body. Okay? In the consciousness we have feeling as the main factor. And then that feeling, what is the cause of the feeling? It's contact. So the contact depends on a body. So the body is conditioned to, with impermanent conditions. That is, one is food, according to Buddha, and the other one is karma. Both of these are impermanent things. What is conditioned by impermanent, the body has to be impermanent. Then if the body has to be impermanent, then the feelings have to be, not this feeling, all feelings have to be impermanent. That's how you have to, that's a universal way of getting the awareness of impermanence. That's why the experience, when they verbalize it, it said, Yamkinchi samudaya dhammang, sabbantan nirodha dhammang. That means whatever arises, passes away. It doesn't say when this arises, or any pinpointed thing. It is an awareness, realization that comes. For that you have to generally contemplate. So that's where I'm telling that's normally what we normally experience, and we think about the impermanence and all that, that contemplation is not strong enough to attain, to the level of the real wise attention. You get it? You have to add that cause and effect analyzing. So, but it should be, you have to know the limit. Sometimes you might go too much in it. Now, even this explanation is a little bit too much. So you have to learn not to think also one occasion. That is to empty the mind. That is different practice you must do separately. That is by metta and anapanasati to empty the mind. And then don't think. Then little read. Like that mix. Reading a little bit, then this thing. Then when you do both together, something will happen. Something will happen.
Should we be looking to read it in the Pali? I'm concerned that the English translation doesn't quite get there.
You're making it very difficult, No, it's. I don't think so. We read the old translations. Not even Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation was not available those days in 1990s. We had this Horner, Childer, Rhys Davids. Their translations. They're just good enough. Enough. Okay, that's more than enough. Those days when they cut the hair, also they attained. While they were cutting the hair, they had this insight. So I think that's not a problem. The translations are now very good. I think Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, I think is really, really good. But you don't go in that direction. Find the translation. Like seeing the fault in your tools. Okay. So I think, they're enough. The tool is enough. If you try it, definitely I believe you can, see the Dhamma. Experience Dhamma.
Further question?
All have attained Arahat? What happened? What happened? No more questions? We have some little time. I would really like some questions to know. Okay, not the same people. Okay.
Bhante, how do the rishis and the yogis view Nibbana?
No. Yogis and rishis, Buddha also like that before he became a Buddha. And his first disciples were many like that. The 1,000, very interesting one, 1,000 Jatila, Uddakasava. That is before. He even studied their teaching and he found it. I told you before that how they found liberation through dhyana. So then he was not satisfied. So then only in his Buddhahood, when he became Buddha, he saw the wheel of life. That's the main thing that came out. The conditioned nature of conditionality, and that part of it I explain about the consciousness condition and how you remove, just to give you a taste of going into it, how my teacher explained. So, there's like the first five disciples. Then he had the other 1,000, these rishis. So they were doing the fire worship. Puja. There were the 1,000 of them. And Buddha didn't talk about sila, virtue. He didn't talk about samadhi, concentration. He immediately went to wisdom. So according to my teacher, he used to tell us that they already had those. So that means they already developed to sila samadhi, the Eightfold Noble Path. What they were lacking was wisdom. So very interesting how this wisdom is. The conditionality is told in very short form. Okay? He says, Chakkung adittang rupang adittang, chakku viññānang adittang, chakku sampassapacchya upajjati veditang, sukang va dukang va adukama sukang va tampi adittang, kena bhikkhave adittang, ragaginna, dosaginna, mohaginna, jatya jaraya maranena soke parideva dukkha domanasa. Said, eye is burning, objects are burning, eye consciousness is burning. Due to eye consciousness, eye contact is happening. That is burning. Due to eye contact, you have pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. Okay, one of these feelings. So they are burning. Then he goes burning with what? Now this is the past karma result, okay? Burning with what? Raga ginna, dosa ginna, moha ginna. Burning with greed, hate, delusion. That is the reaction part. That's what we mean karma, okay? So this paticca condition, this thing is in so short, Then raga ginna, dosa ginna. When you get karma, what do you get? You have last thought. You create existence in the future. So jatya, birth, jara, maran, soka, pariteva, dukkha, domnasa. So they were able to code it so fast, So in the short words he gives the condition, this thing. And they all become arahants in that discourse. So like this today, also the people I met, I feel they are very pure. But I doubt, there are some you hear in the Buddha's time called Sahampati Brahmadivraj. They come and invite Buddha, venerate him. But there's no mention of they attain anything. So I feel like some I met are like that. They appreciate, they see there's a great benefit, this is the highest meditation. But I doubt whether they will, because they are so strongly driven by that other practice. Any question from that side? Or this here, this one gentleman here. Legs are a little bit difficult. Okay.
Thank you for your great teachings, Bhante. I have a question regarding consciousness and needing form or body to exist.
Oh, that's a nice question.
So in a formless realm, how does consciousness manifest?
That also I tell you, you go there and tell me. Anyway, just to give you an answer, these are things to be experienced, can't be explained. Even the first dhyana is not thought, you can't think. First dhyana is when you have one thought, okay? You're going into the realms of, you could say, unthinkable. So if someone explains it is falling into a very, but just for your intellectual tickling, how to say, it doesn't mean, I would say it's like in a dormant nature, you're putting me into your cup of tea, it's really tough for me. It is in the formless realm, if it is of the gross form, we don't have a shape like a shape form. It's an infinite form, like a body. Now even the devas, Brahmas especially. Now this happens really in the Brahmaloka. Okay, so now normally when they come to the lower worlds, they create a form for us to manifest. But they have a form which we don't see. Okay, so in relation to that formlessness is a relative thing. You get it? So you get answer now? You can sleep well?
Yes, Bhante, thank you.
What to do? But I gave you the real answer. Go there and come and tell me.
Bhante, if I may, then a question. Just so this issue of samadhi and then contemplation. So this is a question about how you practice. So you've spoken about utilizing the sutas and reflecting. We hear quite a lot of talks about the need to attain jhana, to develop samadhi to the point where when you see something, it helps it unfold. But that often seems quite, certainly for me, a long way from reality. So this balance between trying to practice for developing samadhi and then looking at the question of insight, how does one integrate that into practice?
Very interesting. What you can do is, you don't expect samadhi. You practice metta and all that. Whatever samadhi might happen, let it happen. And then you do the practice of contemplation, So there will be a time when with that, this will mix automatically. It doesn't mean you attain samadhi, then you contemplate. No, all these things you try. And actually the contemplation also will help samadhi. That will polish you. Now I give it in the retreat, where you are doing the contemplation. It's like a cycle, like you are polishing those. If you have blockages in samadhi, that will also get cleared. Just reading, because you are elevating so much of your good karma. Just simply reading also. Even little bit chanting. All these things contribute to accumulate. So you don't wait until one develops and do the other. when you are doing simultaneously, they will all fall into place. So especially I have noticed now people like Samadhi and all that, actually that contemplation, analyzing, reading the suttas, I found people, so many thoughts seem to suddenly reduce. And they just have to just read only. That's a simple thing. So I was also so I have told them if they have any blockages in their spiritual path, this reading the suttas will also open it. And if there are some blockages in their material life, that also will open. So I encourage in so many ways. And I told you like what I had with these people, how they told me how much I did Samadhi. They told when I just read it that so much of real concentration power has increased. So when you're reading and analyzing, that head, the massage, because this is direct into the highest wisdom. So it has all other benefits also on the way. So whatever faculties that were not, working, it will start to work, which is related to mindfulness and, which is needed for Samadhi. Those things will also start to work. So, but don't wait until you read only, then just try the Samadhi also. Meanwhile, not more than 1 hour with Metta or Anapanasati. So that way you can try that, especially early mornings, Brahma Murta time. That time the nature also helps you to come to certain Samadhi. But there are occasions where some people attain insight. So that is also like a Samadhi state is touched in that moment of getting that insight. So it doesn't mean you need Samadhi definitely for attaining this, but definitely it is a big doorway to get that intuitive experience. Because your hindrances are for sure absent in that time. Because then only you are that faculty. Because it is said this experience of the Dhamma, it is told like you take a hair from the horse, you have the tail, you have this, I call that hair. Then you take that piece so thin, so fine, and you break it to 16 pieces, something like this, I can't remember the exact how the Buddha explains, but 16 parts. And then in a dark night, that is where the full moon is completely, absent. No moon, not the full moon. So that night, you take an arrow and shoot at it. It's so difficult, so fine. That fine, it shows this insight to happen. So that automatically, that fineness is built up with the Samadhi. When your mind is free from the 5 hindrances, and you're bright mind, and you're very alert, in that state, when you even read the suttas, you find, you don't feel tired. So you do something more. So when the mind is tired, then the contemplation is very close to the gross body, and then the chances of getting a blown experience will be less. So, but you have to keep trying. Then your good karma will also support, and time will come. Suddenly, these things match. These things nicely balance. So you must keep doing these things. So how to get samadhi also? It's very important when you go out. It should be your daily practice. You must at least start the meditation with what is this metta and anapanasati in the morning. Don't go out until you get until you can forget the duties and things you have to do outside your family or where you're staying, until you forget that, until you get enough this thing. Okay, I have no time to demonstrate the meditation, the metta and all that. We'll see. Anyway, after that, you feel light, you feel really peaceful, then go out. Okay? When you go out, there are 2 practices you must be really careful. One is your sila. One is called, indriya samvara sila, sense control. That's the main thing that will reduce your monkey mind and help your meditation in a fast way. Out of the virtue practice, this is the highest practice, that is called the sense control. So that is called, normally they say the monks practice crores of virtue. Crores of virtue. How does it practice? It's not by pratimuksha. It is by the sense control practice. So the sense control means you don't look at the details of things. Like I can look at you like this, I see details. But I can look at you like this, unfocused. Okay? So then you are not allowing the experience to happen. Some people say, Bhante, I experience it and I contemplate it's impermanent and all that. I call these people, they have been shot already. So you have to be fast enough, not to allow the focus to happen so that the feeling will come. Because immediately when the feeling comes, you have perceived it and you have reacted already. So fast. Okay? So that is if you want to be a real yogi, you will practice that. You can, like you are crossing a road. You must see properly where the vehicles are more or less. Okay? But you don't have to see who is inside the vehicle. Just to give an example, this thing you have to be this. So in the morning you must go and then be aware, this practice I must do all the way. Other one is paying attention to the present moment, the body. This you have to do some simple practice of just watching the carpet or whatever that's present to you. Your mind will run to the future, to the past. Again and again you have to remind. It won't come by nature or by habit. This you have to remind and do it. Just to walk peacefully, just to watch what you're seeing immediately. And then maybe you can imagine how you're walking and how your body is. You can go into more details if your mind now get used to that. Like you're driving the car, you can touch the leather and feel the leather and feel the back touching the seat. Feel it more times. Then I have told this, then I see that these people, they drive long distances in the highway. They don't feel tired because of some kind of samadhi experience they experience. This practically you must experience that. So when you're doing that, that is called the conduct. Because the conduct is called charya Dhamma. That is the one that will make you to have a vision from those words. Why we are not having a vision? Because our mind is not having that faculty developed. It is called like the hen giving incubation to the egg. Okay, the chick, it will not break, it will break, it should given enough warmth, all right? So when the warmth is given enough, it will break automatically. So that breaking is equated to having those insights. So why does it not happen to us? Why we know a lot of things, but we are not realizing it. Why? Because we are not incubating enough. So that is our general lifestyle. That's why we tell to be careful with the phone. Don't allow the sense impressions come too much. Pay attention to the moment. Do the work without getting tired. All these things, why? And even sex also, controlling these things. These are strong emotions. I told sometimes, normally monks don't even tell about these things. These are normally practice called no fap and all that. In the YouTube you'll find so many things about it. These are very important if you really want to develop your body and mind to realize something. No fap, if you put that in, it's NOFAPP. And the other one is dopamine detox. Regarding even from the YouTube, how we are getting a rush of dopamine. The short videos and all that, when we look so many, this thing, we are then draining. So we have to preserve that. Only for work, for some real duty, you must learn to use the phone. All other addictive things you must slowly diminish to sharpen your mind. And then that way only I think my idea how this can be a realized thing. And make a daily routine like morning, and then make a daily routine definitely. And have a community, you have contact, then that also helps you to be protected, especially in this kind of country. And this will help you all. But when you experience that peacefulness while working, then you know the art. You don't have to think I have to go to jungle or somewhere. So if you don't do it enough in the morning, you might feel tired to do it when you're doing, you will feel like, very relaxed to look everything and all that. So you have to develop the faculties to 60%. Wait for that, have some patience. Maybe you go for a retreat, it will give you that boost. And then it will start to work in your actual life. All right? That will definitely start to work in your actual life. And then your life will be complete. Slowly you will notice the addictions, you will learn to reduce one by one. And then what will support to your concentration, you will learn to add. Yes.
Okay, so I think we might leave it there. Venerable, thank you very much for your teaching.
No other questions? No? No, there's one is just asking. Okay.
So perhaps we probably need to call a halt to an end, but if people would like to stay and to speak with you directly.
They can. One question, okay?
Yeah, sure, of course. Okay, last question.
Last question.
Yes, lucky last.
I promise it'll be short. Yes, so I'm just starting my meditation practice and everything like that, and so I got all insight today. What book would you recommend to start learning? What would be a good book to start with?
Start with?
Yeah.
I think you start reading The Word of the Buddha.
The Word of the Buddha.
You know the book?
No, I don't know.
It's by Gnanaloka Mahatera.
Okay.
That book will be good. And maybe middle-end discourses of Bhikkhu Bodhi if you want to go to the original teachings immediately.
Okay.
Middle-end discourse of the Bhikkhu Bodhi. And I will also tell you background, maybe some books like Edgar Cayce, Many Mansions.
Okay, yes.
Because it's like a little bit chocolate, with the little bit bitter. And add to your, because make it a fresh way. Otherwise this looks like very old, this thing. But this is words of wisdom, very special, enlightened being walking on in this planet. And that those exact in Pali, definitely. Okay. It has a very special effect in it.
Okay.
So that is in another civilization. So you'll have to, but if you get a small glimpses of it, then you're in it, your Buddha world will start to open to you. And then start with metta, anapana, compassion meditation, and little bit anapanasati, and check where you're addicted and how you're going to correct it, immediately, where you're breaking 5 precepts, and how, especially the truth, to keep truth, and how to talk kindly, with a heart of kindness.
Yes.
That if that can be practiced today, it will be quite good. Yes. So, and also how to bring the meditation early morning, and how to bring while you're driving the car, walking, and all that, and have a reading session also, and like that, yeah. Okay. I gave in such a short, okay? And okay. So, I wish you all, you think of all this good karma of listening to the teachings and all this. Think of your parents, your relations, all beings. Buddha says, hardly there's been a being who has not been your mother, father, brother, sister in this long samsara. So offer it to all of them. May they get some inspiration, strength in this coming time to practice this, so that last moment, last death moment, that they already prepare themselves, they will not go to a state of suffering. No, every being, especially in this modern time where the Buddha's teaching is still there, and his infinite compassion, his mission may it be accomplished. Remember, when your parents die also, normally we have a small feeling, like a nostalgic feeling that they are still protecting us because of their purity. Even while they are living, I have experiences when I went to a bad place. I pictured my father is walking in front. I just came running, oh, Tati, we tell father Tati, Then I realized, no, it's another gentleman, is because that compassion is echoing through us. So just imagine the sincere compassion that we normally experience through our parents. The Buddha too, more than that, to all beings. Though he has passed away, just imagine, even if you recall his name and chant something of him, definitely there will be that mystical force working on us. So use that to traverse, give a protection to your practice, and to really activate the practice to make your practice a live thing and make it happen, so that you don't procrastinate, keep on postponing it tomorrow, and learn to taste the Dhamma, so that you will not regret or worry, that you are very happy, you are fulfilled about your life. Let it happen very soon. So transfer all these good merits. And we normally have in Sri Lanka, they think the 4 protective deities, King of Gods, and the Sahampati Brahmadiviraja, and also the great yogis, munis who are protecting this Dhamma, and 32 crores of devas, brahmas, who are in this world, in this existence. May they receive these good deeds we have done now, words. And not only them, protective angels who are protecting this great sasana, the practice sasana, pratipatti sasana, and the practice and experience sasana. This is still a possible time. You have food, you have shelter, good health. What else do you need? And the books, the teaching is there mainly. So this is not a time where the teaching is no more. Only some effort and some inspiration, I believe, you must have. Think, what do you lose? You lose nothing. You have to face death anyway. You have to face the loss of loved ones. I have no time. Recently, I had to lose my father. And it was a very good experience. I was waiting how I would feel, how would I experience. And somebody asked me, actually, one Malaysian gentleman in the last retreat, how did you say goodbye to your father? When they had to take the life support system and all that. I told goodbye to him when I ordained, when I became a monk first. Then in stages I have told him goodbye. And another one, I told them a story about when I was going from jungle to jungle, where I have left any trace of where I'm going. And normally my parents used to follow, where a monastery I'm there, when in the initial, as a young monk, give dana and all that. So then one trip I went on a tudong, like walking journey, where I made sure nobody knows where I'm going. So when I was entering the forest, I was picturing my father, because there's some attachment. So in that situation, suddenly the teachings came to me. What is this father? Father is body, feelings, perceptions. What is the nature of body, feelings, perceptions and this consciousness? Is arising and passing away. Arising and passing away. When I contemplated like that, that thought also went away. So in stages, through samadhi to panya, we have died before the death comes, or we have killed. I tell people, you kill before you die. You kill your defilements and ignorance. Okay? So tell you honestly, my experience with him, I didn't feel anything overwhelming, nothing to feel in the heart. I did a lot of things last moment, though I have been a wandering or isolated monk. When he really needs, I was there at the last time. And then I attend to him very much. So it was a nice experience. Okay? And also gave him some vibrations of detachment and this thing while there. Not I thought as father, like somebody I thought as an outsider actually. But I must tell honestly, I had some memories coming after that death. So like some memories which I normally don't get, I did have some thoughts coming, not in an overwhelming way, like a fluid, like small, very thoughts coming, which is unnatural normally. So I think maybe I'm still having some attachment to that sense worlds, objects, but not in an overwhelming way. So I see the great blessings. I really pray for you all that don't delay. Okay? You do the goodness for you also. What the goodness of just being so attached to all this flesh and all that? It's a selfish thing, even to your pets and everything. All this, if you remain in that, you might be born in a ghost realm. And even when someone is dying, if somebody's like that, will help that person to go to the ghost realm, crying, and this thing, and that person also feels sad and he will go into a bad state. The bad thought will be not good. But someone calm, peaceful is there in front of a dead, dying relation. That will be a big support. Okay? So if you really want to support your pets or your dying relations or anyone, be detached from them. Don't be detached like in an artificial way. Do the practice and see how the detachment comes automatically as an effect. Be honest what is going on in your head and what you're practicing, how it's effective and how it's changing you. And you definitely will not miss the path. You'll be doing, daily do it, daily separate from, daily die, daily be free from these people around you, objects around you, enjoy that peacefulness and then touch the world. So that then you're like a lotus in the mud, okay? You must try to do that. So I wish you good luck in that practice. I hope you will get all the encouragement, strength to practice this without any obstacle, and try to keep in a contact with a group. That's very important. Don't be alone because it's not easy. Sometimes even how bad the group is or you think it's not perfect, it will help you, it will protect you. All right? But so transfer all the merits to all those beings, and especially the people in this country. May they also get some strength and blessings. They're all our relations, think of it. And all other people in the other countries too. May they too get inspiration, get the belief in the enlightened beings, and follow before they die, reduce their attachments, and not to have this belief, okay, that this dead then is all finished. Doesn't matter even if they think like that, but let them get a peaceful. There are two feelings you can experience. One by what we call the spiritual feelings, and other one is materialistic feelings. That materialistic feelings makes your craving increase. The spiritual feelings makes your craving decrease. It's by decreasing craving you get those spiritual feelings. So if someone develops the materialistic feelings, what will happen to that person? That time he's happy for a short while with an excitement of the senses, but his craving increases. Then what happens? Then he has a sadness. You'll find such people have a sadness for no reason. Now when you purify, when you reduce your craving and you experience spiritual feelings, you have a happiness for no reason. So majority of beings, they are having sadness for no reason. Whatever they get, they seem so unfulfilled and unsatisfied. But if you go in this direction, you'll find you're happy for no reason. People might think you're mad. Why is he laughing so much? Why is he this thing? It's one index of happiness. So I really bless you, wish you, especially in this part of the world, I see that you all have good opportunity. And also, because it's a little rare,
you will feel driven more. I see people here are more driven. So then you will have results more. So please transfer to every creature finally. From the lowest worlds, animals, creatures, spirits, and the lowest, they get this human birth and go on this path. And also the higher devas, brahmas, they also get the full support to practice this. And supatvitva, dukim midetva, nivan sulabha, hatarvaram devunta sakra devendatat, sahampati brahmadi virajan vasati, jivaru munivaru siddhallarat, gandharvantat, bhairavantat, naga nagintat, devasenadipati vantat, dharma devarej rajavaruntat. ඒ 33 කෝටිය කල්පේශාක්‍ය මහේශාක්‍ය දේවතාන් වහන්සේලා බ්‍රහ්මවරු පෙරුම් පුරණ පේන නොපෙනෙන සියලු උතුමන් වහන්සේලාට අනුමෝදන් වෙත්වා මේ දුල පරාතේ මේ උත්තම මිරිසට ඒ අවස්ථා දුර්ලභ අවස්ථාවෙන් ගැලවීමක් සිද්ධ වෙත්වා නිවනට යන්න අවස්ථාව වටපිටාව ඇති වෙන්නේ ඔබ වහන්සේගේ අනන්ත පාරමී බලය Buddha's infinite paramis in the past may be a protection to you all and the Buddha's compassion his Buddha's determination may protect you, give you blessings. බුදුන් වහන්සේගේ බුද්ධ අධිෂ්ඨානයට නමස්කාරය වෙත්වා. සම්බුදුන් වහන්සේගේ පාරමී බලය මේ සියලු සත්වයන්ටම එක ජාතිවල සියලු මනුෂ්‍යයන්ට පංච උපාදානස්කන්ධයක් තියෙන. එදා LTT එකේ යනකොට ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ කරුණාවෙන් ඒගොල්ලන්ටත් පංච උපාදානස්කන්ධ කියලා මෛත්‍රී කරුණාව ඇති කරා සේම. මේ සියලු දෙනාටත් ඒ සත්‍ය බලෙන් මේ සියලු දෙනාටත් සත්‍ය අවදි වෙන කාලයක් වෙන්න. මේ හැමෝටම සත්‍ය විමුක්තිය කරා යන අවස්ථාවක් මතුවෙත්වා. බුදුන් වහන්සේගේ අරමුණ මේ දේශයටත් ඇවිල්ලා උන්වහන්සේ නේපාලේ ඉපදිලා බුද්ධත්වයෙන් පස්සේ ඒ මනුලෝකේ ඒ ප්‍රතිපත්ති පූජා පුරන්න සියලු සත්වයන්ට වටපිටාව සකස් වෙන්න. ඒ සතර අපායට නොවැටෙන ඒ සත්‍ය මාර්ගය අවදි කරන කාලයක් වෙන්න. භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා. සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන ධම්මානුභාවේන සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සත්‍ය භවන්තු. සෝපත් වෙත්වා දුකෙන් මිදෙත්වා. නිවන් සුව ලබ. සංසාරේ වහන්සේගේ බුද්ධ බෝසත් මාතාවරුන්ගේ ඒ බුද්ධ ගර්භයෙන් ඉපදුන ඒ උතුම් සත්‍ය සම්බුදුන් වහන්සේගේ පාරමී බලය මනුලව ආයි මේ ප්‍රතිවාර දාගෙන යන වකවානුව කියනවා. We can put that. Just wait, relax your body, okay? Relax your body. සියලු දුක් කරදර දුරු වෙත්වා. සියලු ගින්දර සත්වයන්ගේ නිවන අවස්ථාවක් වෙන්න.
සෙංකඩගාලෙන් සක්වලටම කිරණ විදා දිවමන් බොදොන් සේ වැඩහිඳ අසිරි බෙදා පිංසිත වඩන සැදැහැති සිත ඉවත නොදා දලදා සමිදු නම දීමි බැති සිතින් සදා ලකදන සිරස පැලඳු සිලුමිනක් එසේ තවරාඳුන් බැති බාර බොදු නොවන්නැසේ සත්සිද්නි බාඳ සත පාලන නිවන් රසේ දලදා සමිද නාම දීමි බැති සිතින් මෙසේ විහිදාලොවට සුදු බුදු රැස් කිරණ එදා.
Try to keep silence today, okay? Okay? At least for 5-6 hours, don't talk to anybody. Just keep this energy with you. You can take some food. Okay? Take food, but try not to talk. And you get this energy from the solitude of masters who have made this effort. Use it for your practice in the coming time. Make a change in your life. Make this will. Use the Buddha's instruction as your instruction. Not just a book only, make it a practice. May all of you get the strength and may you see the Buddha through the Dhamma. It can be happen today also. More than seeing the real flesh Buddha, you can see him truly. සියලු සත්‍යතාවය මනුෂ්‍ය තුළ පවිත්‍ර සියලු ඇලීම් ඇතින් දුර වෙන කාලයක් සතර අපායන් මුදෙලන
සංගවාගේනාකේස් කාලඹෙයි ලක්දිව
ශ්‍රීපාදයට සී සංකේතයට චක්‍රයටත් නමස්කාරය
වන්දිනෙමු බැතින් අපිදාලදා
මනුලොව සසුන පිරීලා යන වක්කවාට ප්‍රතිපත්ති අවදි වෙන කාලයක් තෙරුවන් සරණයි 5 minutes close your eyes and wait 5 minutes
නෙලාගෙන දෙවිවරු පැමිණ නිබාදව බැඳ උදාලන දලදා සමිඳුනේ මගේ හිස නවාගෙන වන්දිනෙමිනි බාද අමනිවනම පතාගෙන රැස් කඳ විහිදුවාලන බඹ ලොවට උසින් සැදැහැති දානං නීති පුදනා සතර දෙසින්